All right, guys. So I missed the first debate that they had, which was about Israel and Palestine as well. But I'm here for this one now. And, let's do it. I'm excited. My understanding was Cenk got a little worked up in the last debate, but maybe it was justifiable. I don't know. I didn't watch it. So let's watch this. It's called Tempers Flare in Israel debate with, am I saying it right? Cenk Uygur.
The Palestinian people, Cenk, I'm sorry, but I do care if they die. Hamas doesn't care if they die. And Hamas is the owner of the region, and Hamas is the one conducting warfare.
Oops, did I do it again? So, what are they trying to do? They're trying to have plausible deniability.
I'm trying to eat cheese.
For vengeance. Look at me spitting on your ancestors. I can't take it. I'm going to say something potentially.
I mean, I don't know about my ancestors, but you could spit on me, Daddy.
Offensive.
Potentially millions more.
Destiny, do you know that?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Their leader killed himself. And the only thing that you want is the short-term minimization of those deaths. Even if it comes to the long-term actual procurement of a real, lasting, peaceful justice, which is something you have absolutely no concern of talking about, which is why you're presenting the most ahistorical, unbelievable idea ever, that Abbas, who is universally one of the least popular Palestinians ever, you could get a guy called Finkel Goldstein, okay, to be the leader of the Palestinians, and he would pull higher than Abbas. The fact that you want this guy to be the one to negotiate these peace deals with Israel, when we're probably lead to the third, fourth, and fifth intifada combined, is just an unrealistic solution.
I'm eating cheese.
Yes, that is the microphone that's being used. Okay.
Okay, all right, then that's the best we can do.
Okay, is this a USB mic, or does it have like a crazy XLR big output? Does it plug right into a computer?
Okay, by the way, just before...
It's interesting that he's talking to Destiny so much. I don't know a lot about Cenk, but is that something that they typically would do on their channel? Or is it more of, I'm not trying to be rude, what is it, the Young Turks? Or is it that they haven't really maintained their relevancy, and now they're kind of like trying to talk to Destiny for attention?
Every day.
I don't know how it works. How does it work? I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm stupid and old and fat.
Before we continue all of this, Jen, what time do you need to go?
Yeah, I got to go at the top of the hour, and I know we're making...
It's Abba and Preach.
Okay, let's just go there. That's okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair. That's okay.
No, but
Okay,
thanks for
brilliant.
trying to fix it, Destiny. I appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so today I'm hosting a debate between Democratic presidential candidate Cenk Uygur
How could he run? He's just wasn't born in America.
and popular live streamer and political commentator Destiny. In this debate, we're going to focus on the future of the war rather than last time. So this time, we're going to focus on the future of the war, potential escalation with the Houthis, how to finish the war, and long-term peace.
I think if you stopped saying free Palestine and you made Israel pay for it, they wouldn't want it anymore,
Because we've only got right now around 45 minutes, instead of asking you a lot of questions, I'm going to ask you one question, and hopefully just that question will try and get that finished. So from where we are right now, what is a viable and realistic solution you can give, number one, for the war to end, and number two, for long-term peace? And
I mean, listen, I feel like it's just a two-state solution, right? At the end of the day, and it's not even like a complicated thing, that these two groups do not like each other. Israelis and Palestinians, they don't really like each other. There are Palestinians living in Israel. They seem to have a good relationship. But for the most part, these two groups don't like each other, right? So a two-state solution where they can have their own infrastructure. I'm sure America would probably help them become trading partners in some capacity. Try to get more financial abundance into Palestine. That usually calms down tensions. People will be able to grow up with better education. They're usually calmer, more happy. They like the girls and the gays more. I think that's it. Because I don't think you could force these two groups together. One would oppress the other. One would hurt the other. They just don't like each other. You just kind of have to draw that line. And then maybe 100 years from now, tensions will go down. But that's not where we are. So let's start with two-state solution.
keep in mind the Houthis and what's the two-state solution with Bibi. Destiny, can you start, and then we'll go to Cenk.
Yeah, I mean, you can get very broad, you can get very specific. I think two really important things need to happen. The first thing is Hamas has to be eliminated or decapitated so that they're no longer functional.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a literal terrorist organization that does not like Jewish people, so it's kind of hard to have a level of peace when your government hates the neighboring countries just because of the people they are.
And the Gaza Strip, because I think that negotiating with a group like Hamas is just not feasible, and I don't expect Israel to do it. And then I think the second thing that needs to happen is Palestinians have to be able to hold new elections, regardless of how those might turn out. They need to.
And I think there's probably a conversation to have about reparations from Israel to Palestine, right? I mean, they're fighting each other back and forth, but taking over some of the land, and I think it would just be a nice, maybe a peace offering. That could be a nice thing.
Elect leadership, because Israel needs somebody that they can negotiate with, and somebody that can negotiate on behalf of Palestinians to start us back on some kind of road to some lasting solution or peace. Like there has to, those two things have to happen. Yeah.
Okay, so just so 2 points. First of all, how is that including a two-state solution?
Personally, I think that's the most likely resolution that both sides can agree to. I don't think a one-state solution is anything that Israel would ever agree to. I don't think that'll ever happen.
So how's that going to happen
I mean, I don't know if with Hamas either. Well, I guess we're talking about eliminating Hamas.
when Bibi's in charge right now?
Well, I mean, if Hamas is eliminated and if the Palestinians elect new leadership, I think that with the reduction of attacks from the Palestinians, I think that there would be a lot of mounting pressure on Israel to actually move towards a two-state solution or move towards some kind of permanent peace process. But as long as they can always point the finger at Hamas and blame them and say, like, well, look, these guys don't want peace. They just want to shoot rockets at us all day. That's going to be the number one justification that Israel can use to kind of indefinitely stave off peace plans, right? Look at October 7th is going to buy them at least a year or two in terms of never even having to think about peace plans, because they can just say, well, look at October 7, look at October 7, look at October 7.
That's fair.
And just one last question. I apologize for taking this question for you, Cenk, because I know you would ask this. How is it possible to say just eradicate Hamas? At what point is eradication? Is it possible to even eradicate Hamas?
I mean, I guess what Destiny said earlier, or what he'll say later, is like sometimes you have the short term, unfortunately, more violent solution of like eliminating Hamas might just in long term be better for peace, right?
I don't know how the military defines like a group being defunct, but I think right now Israel, the estimate is they've eliminated 20 to 30% of fighters. I'm sure there's some percentage where once you've eliminated enough, they've effectively lost their ability to govern effectively. And I don't know what that number exactly looks like. I don't think Israel has put out that number exactly. Maybe that's 50, 60, 70%. Maybe it's just when Hamas leadership leaves, or they've been so undermined that the public wants, different elections, or whatever. I don't know if the specifics of that matters much, but whatever that specific
Whoa, Destiny's weirdly attractive. You're sussy baka.
is, that goal has to be accomplished. Yeah.
Okay, Cenk.
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways to approach it. So
I need him to ask the questions again because I would just be like, I didn't catch it. I wouldn't remember.
first of all, I'm going to start with what obviously is not going to work,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to go to things that actually will work. So first of all, this idea of eliminating Hamas, it's comical. It's comical.
I don't think it's comical. I think that it's impossible to eliminate the full sentiment of Hamas, which I think is the most radical and extreme hatred of Jewish people in Israel, partially justified. Let's be real. These are very complicated things. Without time. Time is going to be the ultimate eliminator of that. But to the institution itself, absolutely. I think you can get rid of Hamas. You lower their support. My understanding, and I could be wrong, is that Hamas isn't particularly popular in that country or in that area. It should be a country. So wouldn't it, if they could figure out how to support the people to be able to elect their own people, I think it's a viable solution. No, I'm trying to wait for. I'm just trying to wait for this donation to come in.
Comical. It's ridiculous. So they've killed 27,000 people on the way to killing 20 to 30% of Hamas, according to IDF. Now, no one believes those numbers. It's propaganda. But okay, let's take it as true.
Oh, are they saying that those are overinflated? Those are the numbers reported by Hamas?
Okay, so about a quarter of Hamas is killed, according to IDF.
Dr. Sex
and they want to eradicate.
The sequel super chatted $49.99. Was up, Papa?
What's
Just
going on,
wanted
brother?
to say tie for all the content for me to listen to
I
while I
appreciate
act
that.
like I do my job.
I appreciate that, brother. I truly do. Thank you so much for the very large donation. It means a lot to me. Dr. Sex 2, the sequel is incredible. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Decapitated, kill the rest of them. So does that mean if we kill 27,000 Palestinians already, we're going to kill at least 100,000? And so maybe, as Destiny said, maybe there's a tipping point where you kill,
probably,
like, hey, 55% of Hamas, and then you could say that they're done. How anyone verifies any of this is impossible to know.
Well, they would be done once they're no longer in power, right? So that's the place.
It's basically Netanyahu saying, yeah, I'm satisfied with how many Palestinians I've murdered. And he's never going to be satisfied. One, because of his nature, and two, because if the war ends, there's accountability, and he immediately...
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know too much about Netanyahu's nature. He could be a real piece of shit. The thing is that it's not just Israel. It's also mounting pressure from Western people, or Western forces, like America, saying, if you don't vie for peace when it is actually possible, like once Hamas is done, we're not going to support you. Israel needs us. We're like their most financially, we trade a lot with them. So it's like it can be done. They have mounting pressures from other countries like America to be like, hey, no, Hamas is now not elected anymore. It's time to sit down and do peace talks.
Immediately loses power. Immediately. So he never, ever wants the war to end. As long as Netanyahu is in charge, we have no chance of ever getting to peace. Ever. He's the worst partner for peace in history. He proudly declares that he blocked a Palestinian state and will do so again. He is by far a worse partner for peace than even Hamas. He's also a bigger terrorist than Hamas. We can come back and discuss that if you like. But
skeptical of that, but maybe it's true.
Hamas has hinted in an earlier time, several years ago, that they could do peace and that they could actually.
Is that true? My understanding is that they would constantly shoot down peace talk.
Recognize Israel's
Talks.
right to exist, which of course they're going to. But anyway, that's another topic.
Wait, what?
They recognize Israel's right to exist, which of course they're going to. But anyway,
Wait, I feel like that's not true.
Hinted in an earlier time, several years ago,
Hinted?
that they could do peace and that they
Hinted that they could do.
could actually recognize Israel's
Hinted that they could do peace. They've hinted that maybe they'll do a thing. I don't know if I believe that.
right to exist, which of course they're going to. But
And like, listen, and again, I understand where Palestinians are coming from when they don't want Israeli people there, because it's just been a very difficult relationship. I understand that. But from the river to the sea means kill Jews. Like, we have to understand that, right? They're saying from the river, which is on one side, to the sea, which is on the other side, probably reversed, right? Palestine will be free. No more Israel. That's what it means, okay? Just to be clear, that is what it means. You might say it's something different because you're American, but that's what they mean when they say that. Right? Again, I understand it, but they don't exactly recognize Israel.
anyway, that's another topic
But
as
maybe
well.
I'm wrong.
So this idea of permanent war bringing peace and security is irrational. It's maximum irrational.
I don't think
It's
that's what
never
you said,
happened.
permanent
It's
war.
never going to happen. And
We said get rid of Hamas so that Israel and Palestine can have a conversation about peace. That's not like he's making it seem like it was open-ended.
it's intended so that it doesn't happen for the political power of one man, Netanyahu. Now, it's not just one man. It's the right wing in Israel that right now it can't say anything but blood. And so they just want to kill as many Palestinians as humanly possible while pretending to get Hamas, which, again, there's almost no evidence of.
I feel like that's not true. I doubt that the Israeli government cares very much about Palestinian people, except for their own Palestinians that live there, which there are a pretty substantial number of them. But again, they're pressured by us to be like, you have to care. Hamas is throwing their own people in front of like buildings, like they're hiding in civilian buildings, so that if you're like, oh, well, you want to get to us, you're going to have to kill civilians. If they're using their own people as shields, there's like letters dumped into Gaza telling civilians to run away, to get away. And Hamas is stopping them from doing that. And I remember some person was like, oh yeah, well, they don't actually want them to run because they're all in English. When I looked into it, like 88% of Palestinians can speak fluent English. And it's like, oh, well, no shit. So, yeah. Okay.
A significant percentage of Hamas being killed. And here's one piece of evidence that everybody can wrap their minds around, which is they said that they were murdering all these Palestinians in order to kill Hamas and get the hostages back. But has the war led to getting back one single hostage in terms of a military operation? No, none, zero. What is the one thing that got some of the
I thought they just did a trade.
hostages back? Was negotiation and a deal.
Sure.
It's super obvious.
Well, I mean, you would argue that the only reason that one side would take a deal is to avoid it escalating. So I would imagine like Palestine or Hamas would be like, okay, we'll give you your people back to trade for some of ours instead of you continuously barraging us.
Yes. Now you could argue, hey,
It's not just a trade of hostages. It's also like, okay, we're reducing your incentive to want to attack us because we don't have your hostages anymore.
we wouldn't have gotten as good a deal if we hadn't murdered as many Palestinians as we did. I think that's the argument of a butcher, and not true.
Maybe I'm just like biased, but Cenk is just constantly trying to be very emotionally provocative. Murder. I don't know.
But we can again debate that. Okay, but if you think that permanently, and I'm not saying that Destiny thinks this, I'm just saying generically, if you think that permanent occupation is going to bring Israel peace and security, you're totally detached from reality. No people that are occupied, Palestinian or otherwise, are ever going to bow their heads and say, we now love our oppressors. We love them, and we will be your dogs and servants forever. It's not going to happen. They're always going to fight back. The Chinese will fight back. The Kenyans will fight back. The Palestinians will fight back. And then we'll call them terrorists until the end of time. And we'll say, oh, we murder more of them, murder more of them. But it's never, ever going to end. So you must end the occupation if you want peace. There is no second solution. In fact, this idea of
I feel like you would slowly reduce occupation as you came to a peace deal, right? Because there still are fanatics, we'll call them, in Palestine. And I understand that times of war bring a rise to fanatics. So apparently you can argue that the Israeli president is one of those fanatics. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Occupation needs to reduce.
one-state solution, both on the Palestinian side and the Israeli side, should be. In fact, this idea of a one-state solution both on the Palestinian side and the Israeli side, should be dropped immediately. That is a barbarous idea.
Who the fuck is talking about a one-state? What? I understand, like, he's speaking generally, but it's like this isn't the conversation. Nobody's talking about a one-state solution.
It has no chance of success.
He's just rambling.
It's ridiculous, and all it'll do is drag out this conflict forever and ever. And I say that to the Palestinians just as forcefully as I say to the Israelis. So the Israelis' one-state solution would be, well, we occupy you forever, we take all of your land, we give it to religious zealot settlers who will murder you for the rest of time. That's a totally untenable
What are you
solution.
talking
obviously.
about?
The Palestinians are like, hey, let's have a one-state solution, and we'll outvote the Israelis /
No, they're saying let's kill the Jews. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like,
Jews, and then we'll rule, and then we'll make them the minority, and we'll oppress them. They're never going to go for that, nor should they. That's
who the fuck is he talking to?
crazy. No, that's never going to work. And look, Palestinians get really mad at me when I say right of return's a pipe dream. What, you're going to go back and get your houses in Israel? Like decades later? No,
Is he just trying to seem reasonable? What the fuck's happening right now?
look, even if I think that is the most just solution in the world, and there would be a ton of justice to that, it doesn't matter because it's never, ever, ever, ever going to happen. And if you hold on to that dream, it actually kills the dream that is tenable for a Palestinian state. So if you're a Palestinian and go, oh, I'm positive we're going to get a one-state solution, you're on Mars or Venus or some other galaxy. Never going to happen, okay? It must be a two-state solution.
Cool. Thanks, Cenk, for answering the question no one asked.
And finally, we get to, yes, but this particular conflict, how do we end it? You always end it with peace.
Wow. Well said.
By definition.
Well, we're not. We that's obviously everybody's desired outcome, at least in the debate. I think the question more centralized around like how do you get to peace? So Destiny's was simple. Hey, we have to eliminate Hamas, removing Israel's justification to continue to fight Hamas, and then we have to do that by supporting their ability to get other leaders, like elected leaders, and then we have to push for a peace deal. It was pretty simple. Okay.
So you can't murder your way to peace.
Thanks.
And I get it. There's wars and a lot of people die, and at the end you get to peace. But that's the point. At the end, you must get to peace. So there is no peace through endless war. So
okay.
And in Israel's case, we've talked about this before. They always say like, those dirty Muslims. They don't say dirty Muslims. They mean dirty Muslims.
What the fuck is happening right now?
They'll never listen. They're savages. They love violence.
What is happening right now, dude?
Right?
Is he talking to two people at once? It's like somebody trying to have a conversation while driving a car on the phone and with the person next to them at the same time and the police officer who pulled them over for driving while texting. Or I don't understand what's happening.
So that's why a peace deal with these Muslims never worked.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The peace deal with Egypt completely worked. The peace deal, the Abraham Accords, totally worked.
Sure. I mean, my understanding is because it was very positive for them economically. I agree, I guess. I don't know.
Peace deals totally worked.
I'm probably a little ignorant on some of these things.
And so what hasn't worked is permanent occupation and permanent war. So you've got to get to 2 states. And the 2 years from now is insanity. Insanity. You'll have more bloodshed, more death on both sides. It'll spiral out of control. It'll get even worse and worse. How many people, Jesus Christ, how many Palestinians can we murder? Okay. So you must do the 2-state solution right now. And the people that you do it with is not Hamas, it's Palestinian Authority.
But that's what Destiny said. And then you kind of clowned on him for that. I'm a little confused. Okay.
You go to Palestinian Authority, who doesn't have a lot of credibility right now in the West Bank. Why? Because they have worked so well with Israel that a lot of Palestinians think that they're collaborators. Okay. So if you say you can't even work with the Palestinian Authority, that's saying I don't want peace. And you could give me Mother Teresa on the other side, and I'll pretend she's a terrorist, and I'll never ever make peace because I don't want peace. And that is the right-wing Israeli position, but not the entire Israeli position. Okay. So Palestinian.
What the fuck just happened, guys?
Authority. Get the 2-state solution, have a Palestinian state, bring the Palestinian Authority into Gaza, do not have the occupiers, Israel, try to tame the people of Palestine, of Gaza. Have the Palestinian Authority actually be the government there, and then eventually lead to elections. I agree with Destiny on that.
So you basically just agree with everything that Destiny said. Okay. Pretty much. Cool. Gotcha.
Don't do that right away. Have the Palestinian Authority establish itself in Gaza. And you say, well, Hamas is not going to accept that. They're going to fight back. Well, first of all, they're fighting back against the Palestinian Authority and not Israel. If you're Israel, that's already a win.
But you just said that they interpret them as Israel. Okay. I don't know. It's just, okay.
Okay. And then secondly, they get to say to the Palestinian people, what has Hamas brought you? Nothing but grief and strife and death and destruction. What did we bring you? A Palestinian state. You're free. That is a very compelling argument. And it could get the Palestinian Authority to bring Gaza Strip under control. And
I think I like Joe Biden's babbling more than this guy's babbling.
Get to peace and security for both sides.
Oh my God.
How do you envision that happening under Bibi Netanyahu?
Impossible. Israel has to call elections and throw out that butcher of Israel, and they have to throw out Ben Gvir and all those butchers. They're avowed terrorists. Ben Gvir is a convicted terrorist. He worships terrorists. He talks about ethnically cleansing Gaza and driving them into the desert. So
if that's true, that's not good.
Look, Israel, sorry, but it's not too much to ask for you to not elect butchers. People who are convicted terrorists who openly talk about ethnically cleansing the Palestinians and murder.
Yeah, listen, like I said, like effectively war times are going to bring the worst out in people. So I wonder if people are even going to vote down Netanyahu, because like right now it's more about their interpretation is about survival. I mean, their people were just attacked on October, so I feel like you kind of have to work with what we got, I guess. But okay, maybe vote him out, guys. Vote in Cenk Uygur. If he can run in America, even though he's not an American, he wasn't born here, then he can run in Israel, baby.
Ad nauseum. So yes, pick anything that is considered anywhere near moderate in Israel. I don't even care if they're not moderate. Yitzhak Rabin was not moderate. Yitzhak Rabin did terrorism before Israel started, but he got to peace. I would have done a peace deal with Rabin in a second. We were going to. It was going to be great. So anyone who will actually do a peace
is Destiny actually writing things down that Cenk is saying, or is he just waiting for the babble to end?
deal? It does. It doesn't have to be on my terms. It just has to exist.
I'm just trying to work out how it goes. So the first step to peace, as far as you're saying, is to get rid of
I like how the fucking moderator is like, okay, I don't really understand what the fuck you're saying.
Bibi Netanyahu and then have a two-state solution. But how will you even get rid of Bibi Netanyahu? I'm just trying to work. Are you saying America?
So
if you're saying,
I like this debate. This, by the way, I like this, the moderator, because the questions are very much, hey, what's a practical way to get here, rather than like let's have abstract conversations about it, which I can respect.
The war is never going to end. Then how's that going to happen?
Yeah, no, Netanyahu never wants the war to end, so Israel has to throw his ass out. There's no way around it.
How are they going to do that?
Yeah, call an election. So, look, I don't know the internal dynamics of his cabinet.
I mean, I feel like, again, I and I don't know a lot, but I would imagine that the people are like, okay, he's advocating for us right now in this time where our people are getting killed by Hamas. I don't think that they have an incentive to vote him out until things are calmer and a different type of president is required. So, and I understand maybe something similar to Hamas, but then again, I think that the support for Hamas is very low. I don't know. I don't know if it's practical. I don't know a lot about the country. That's just my uneducated, thought.
Obviously, it's a parliamentary system. It's not a presidential system. If it was the American system, you don't have a choice. You have to wait till the next election if it's 3-4 years later. But in a parliamentary system, if a certain set of steps happen, you can call an election right away. So whatever those steps are, the Israeli people have to demand that the Israeli government represent them and get there.
Is that practical? Would they actually demand that? Like, that's the thing. We're having a practical conversation, no?
But if they don't, and they say, we just want to kill Palestinians forever. Look, now you're going to get super mad if you're on the Israeli side, but don't come back and go, I can't believe they tried to kill us. We were butchering them. We killed 25 times as many of them as they killed of us. And we said, we're never going to stop. We're going to kill another 25 times more and another 25 times more. And we're going to be.
Are these things true, or are these just words that he's saying? I just don't know.
100 times worse than Hamas. And we're going to occupy them forever. But golly, I can't believe they attacked us. Come on. I hate their attacks. I condemn their attacks. It's not productive. It's not the right way to go. My heart breaks for the civilians. But if you're talking to the other side saying, I should get to butcher you to the end of time, and you should shut up about it. And
oh my God, this is so boring. Shut the fuck up.
Accept that you're my servants. It's preposterous.
He's been talking like for 12 minutes straight.
Then you should expect 10,000 acts of terrorism, because it's never going to stop.
So just
whether we want it or not, and I don't want it, but that's just reality.
Just one last question before we go to Destiny. Just still trying to understand your position. Your whole plan is relying on getting Bibi out of office and creating a two-state solution. You're saying the way to get Bibi out of office is by his cabinet kicking him out and doing a new election. But his cabinet is supportive of the war, so I'm not sure how this is a realistic path to peace.
So look, it's on the Israeli people because
but they're supportive of the war.
Yeah, so they have to put pressure on the Israeli cabinet. They have to. If they don't, like I said, then they shouldn't be surprised. They shouldn't be heartbroken. They shouldn't be anything. As long as you keep Netanyahu and this right-wing government in office in Israel, that is the Israeli people saying, we don't mind terrorism. We don't mind war.
I don't think that's what it is. I think it's more of like, from the people's perspective, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a wartime, but this is what we need. We need and I don't know if this is true. Again, I don't know the sentiment. Cenk should know better than me. Right? What am I, a drama YouTuber? Kind of. I'm a catty bitch. But I would imagine that the sentiment might be like, oh, like he's acting well in this wartime right now. I've heard American Jews say they don't like Netanyahu, but I don't know what the actual people that live there think. They might be thinking like, oh, we like the way he's acting. He's strong, and he, et cetera, et cetera. He's advocating for our people. So I don't know if is that a practical thing that'll happen. They're just going to vote him out right now.
Or we don't want peace and security. We just want to kill more Palestinians. Okay.
It's almost like you want us to believe that's all they want. But I don't think the people's perspective is we want to kill more people. I think the people's perspective is, hey, we're scared. Like, if that, thousands of us just died in a random attack. We're scared. I think that's probably more what their perspective is.
If that's your decision, that's what you're going to get. And it doesn't matter what I think about it. It doesn't matter how immoral I think it is on both sides. That is just a fact of life. That is how humanity works. They're never going to be your dogs. They're not going to do it. They're always going to fight back because that's how
yeah, Destiny's winning the debate by not talking.
Every human responds. You must throw out the right-wing government of Israel. If you don't, you're never going to get to peace for Israel, let alone the Palestinians.
Why, just as a real quick follow-up, okay, why is the onus more on Israel to throw out their government than it is on the Palestinians to throw out theirs?
Because the Palestinians
That's a good question. I wouldn't even thought of that question.
have no pathway to throwing out Hamas. So if there was an election for Hamas or Palestinian Authority or anyone else, I'd be saying this.
Apparently only 15% of Israelis want Netanyahu to keep their job. Okay, interesting.
Same exact thing to the Palestinians.
When is the next election? I don't know how their government works. In Israel. When is the next election? 2026. Oh, so they have 2 years. So that would be quite an amount of time to waste. Or wait.
Are you guys nuts? You got to throw out Hamas.
Wait, there is a pathway to do it. It could be through elections, or it could be through like just refusing to bow to Hamas Israel, but they don't. Hamas has.
No.
Well, I imagine Hamas might have a lot of control. Well, they do have a lot of control over Gaza. I don't know if it's as simple as, hey, let's vote somebody else in. I mean, in all honesty, I feel like you'd probably have to support some kind of an opposition to Hamas financially to do that. I could be wrong, but
Hamas has very, very, very popular support amongst the Palestinian people. You're talking about having Abbas and the PA lead them. Pretty sure like 90% of Palestinians, like 92% of the West Bank want Abbas to resign. And the next most popular
but that's the West Bank. Isn't the West Bank treated a lot better than Gaza?
politician, Marwan Barghouti, or however you pronounce his name, that dude's like in jail, serving consecutive life sentences because of activities that he had in the Second Intifada, which is the reason why, by the way, Israelis are so radicalized. As many excuses as we make for the Palestinians, as like, well, of course they're going to respond this way. Look at all the violence. Well, where did all the right-wing governments of Israel start coming from? In response to the violence of the Second Intifada. And you mentioned about how like
the occupation.
Sure, and you can say that, but like you just said that like, well, there are going to be 10,000 terrorist attacks. There already were hundreds of terrorist attacks from 2000 to 2004. That happened all throughout Israel. Well, sure, but and the occupation was in response to an invasion from neighboring countries. I mean, like, you can play that. You can go back. Yeah.
That was like 58 years ago. It was 56, 54. How long ago was that? But we're still pretending that that's what the occupation's about.
Well, I mean, that's where it came from, right? That's when Israel originally invaded.
No, they just like occupying them. Keep it real. They like, hey, we get the.
Okay, so my understanding is they occupied because they were being attacked, and now Cenk's like, no, they didn't need to do that. They just like attacking people. Why is Cenk's position that that Israelis just love attacking Palestinian people, especially if Netanyahu has very low support? The opposite would be the truth, right? Based on that,
to be the powerful finally. And look, I get it. It's like it's
wait, if they just like occupying, then why did they give the Sinai Peninsula back to Egypt for peace?
It's a coalition government. That's not that simple. What does that mean?
No. So, by the way, that's a great question. And Israel, who is the they? There is no they who is Jewish or they who is Israeli. There's a wide range of opinions. They is the right-wing government of Israel. So thank you for that clarification, right? The Netanyahus of the world. On the other hand, if the right wing, like Yitzhak Rabin and like Ariel Sharon, say, "Hey, you know what? I want to do something different. I'll take it. I don't need any change. I don't care about your domestic policy, etc." In terms of Hamas popularity and Palestinian Authority popularity, the reason Mahmoud Abbas is so unpopular is because he works with the Israelis 100%. If you say that guy's not a partner for peace, then you don't want peace. But he has no credibility because he's never brought anything back for all that working with Israel. But
I just
hold on, let me finish real quick. If he were to say,
I thought he was finished.
Hey, yes, you were super frustrated with me because all I ever did was work with Israel. But at the end of it, ta-da, I got the Palestinian state. Then, of course, not everybody, not overnight, but tons of people go, oh, okay, that was his plan and he delivered. And now we're free. Then we love Mahmoud Abbas.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to, he can't create that state without the Palestinian support. Like he can't serve as a representative, realistically, a representative of the Palestinian people if he has none of the support of the Palestinian.
Yeah, that's what I had said earlier. I mean, it seemed like people don't really it sounds like this is more of a West Bank group, and the West Bank gets treated better. So why would they Why? Like, yeah, you need to have them have elected leaders of people that the Palestinians feel like represent them, or people in Gaza specifically, especially.
People. If Israel were to try to negotiate with Abbas, basically as a sole human being to try to create some government, there would be massive uprisings. There would be violence against Israel's, violence against settlers, violence against IDF.
And then Cenk would just be going, "Hey, see, look, it's another example of some kind of occupation. They decided to choose who were going to negotiate with, and then they didn't get good terms for the people in Gaza." That's what Cenk would do next. That would be his next thing.
This would happen, and then I think people would be on the news saying like, well, of course, why are they trying to negotiate with the boss? This guy isn't even a leader of the Palestinians. He's literally refused to hold elections in this place for almost like 2 decades. Like, why would they even try to negotiate with this guy? He doesn't
Or am I thinking of somebody different? Am I that fucking stupid? Hold on.
represent the Palestinians. He's just a dog of Israel. He's just a servant to the IDF,
yeah,
which is what Palestinians right now currently think of him. This idea that like,
I can answer it.
okay,
So
But
look,
the Palestinians don't think this person represents them. Then why would that be the person to work with?
Destiny, if you eliminate every single person as either a terrorist or a collaborator, and
What?
hence not a partner for peace, you'll have purposely eliminated every partner for peace. So conveniently,
Listen, it's very simple. My understanding: the Palestinians don't feel like this person represents them. Why would you choose them to be the representative of them? I don't understand.
you can continue the occupation for another 56 years, pretending it's about the invasion from Jordan like 2.5 million years ago. What do you, so
the fuck is he
that
talking
is a
about?
pathway to no end, right? On the other hand, if Abbas were to get into those negotiations, you think the Palestinians would say, no, we don't want 2 states.
Yes.
No, let's do more terrorism because
Yes.
we don't like Abbas.
Yes, that's what all the popularity polls. That's what
But
the polls
a great
show.
majority will not. And so, and once, and here,
If that's what why did Cenk not stop talking at that point? If that's what the polls show that they don't want it, then I don't understand. Hold on.
I think the Palestinians would say, no, we don't want 2 states.
Yes.
No, let's do more terrorism because
I mean, if they're the ones saying don't want 2 states, then yeah, they probably would. What the fuck is this?
we don't like Abbas.
Yes, that's what all the popularity polls. That's what
But
the polls
a great
show.
majority will not. And so, and once,
Okay,
and
I guess that fact is not going to stop Cenk. He's a real man.
here's another thing that's going to happen with Abbas. All of the
Okay.
Arab states are tired of this because their own populations now despise Israel and America so much that it's destabilizing their governments.
Is that true? I mean, I imagine they don't like them a lot, but aren't they trading partners with a lot of those people? Because my understanding, and listen, I don't know, maybe I'm out of my depth, but my understanding is that a lot of surrounding states or countries, they don't want to take in Palestinian people, unfortunately, because there are a lot of, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of them are radicalized, and they don't exactly inspire peace in their country. So, I mean, are they just tired of America and Israel, or maybe are they just tired in general? Like,
So all of those Arab countries who want to deal with Israel, they want to go economically, et cetera. Saudi Arabia, the leaders of Saudi Arabia can't wait to do a deal with Israel. They've said that in 100 different ways. They're like, we don't care about the
Okay.
Palestinians. We just want the money, right?
did
We
I
want to do a
miss?
deal with Israel.
Did I
We want to-
mishear him, or did he just? Well, hold on.
So all of those Arab countries, America, so much because their own populations now despise Israel and America so much that it's destabilizing their governments. So all of those Arab countries who want to deal with Israel, they want to go economically, et cetera. Saudi Arabia, the leaders of Saudi Arabia can't wait to do a deal with Israel. They've said that in 100 different ways. They're like, we don't care about the Palestinians. We just want the money, right? We want to do a deal with Israel, with
Okay.
America, et cetera, and get back to regularity. So all
Okay, I think I understand what he's trying to say. That the governments want to work with Israel and America because it makes them money, but the people don't like them. Okay,
all those guys are going to put tremendous pressure on whoever the Palestinian negotiator is.
it's just like it's an info dump. He's just giving us so much information. I feel like so much of it's unnecessary that it's like hard to understand what he's talking about. It's just a constant fucking information dump. Like he's got like the Hassan syndrome where he's just trying to sound smart by like, look, I know a lot of things.
Get a deal. America's going to put enormous pressure. I think the Palestinian diaspora, the Muslim world is going to put a lot of pressure to get a deal on the Palestinian side. So that is your best chance. And so if you do a vote on Abbas before you start, he has no chance. If he gets them a state and gets them freedom, and then you do a vote, then he has a terrific.
I just don't understand. You can't get a state and get freedom when you don't have a mandate from the people to negotiate on your.
Yeah, and if the people don't agree with that, getting that second state, why would they be compliant with that? It would have to be a leader that they trusted that would be willing to effectively, from their perspective, settle for a 2-state solution.
behalf, and Abbas doesn't.
So that's okay. So good. So Destiny, good question. And do we have a mandate from the Palestinians? So guys, I want you
You already said you didn't, so
to think this through. Again, like if you're on the Israeli side and you want Israel to be a safe haven for Jews, as it was designed to be, think through how are you going to get there? So right now, if you say, well, the Palestinians hate the Jews, Well, a lot of them do. You're not wrong about that. No,
Yeah.
why do they? You say, oh, general anti-Semitism, we're the victims. Look, you're...
Well, I think it's because there's a very complicated, back and forth going on over there. Yeah. It's not just the occupation. In a lot of instances, they don't even want them there in the first place, but they're going to have to, deal with it. So how do we get through that information?
Kidding yourself. You're totally, utterly kidding yourself. There is anti-Semitism all across the world. That's true. Jews have been victims all throughout history. That is totally true. But if you think the Palestinians hate you purely...
Okay, this is another... Destiny's question is, how do you... If the people don't support the leader that you're saying that they should negotiate with, then how is it going to happen? And now we're talking about anti-Semitism.
Purely because of ancient hatred and anti-Semitism, you've gotten totally detached from reality. They hate you because you've been occupying them for 75 years, and you've been brutalizing them and humiliating them and killing them. No people on earth wouldn't hate you under that circumstance. And it doesn't matter whether you take out Israel, Jewish, and you put in Buddhist and Thailand. It doesn't matter. Anyone who's being occupied, of course, is going to hate you. So if in the middle of that occupation, in the middle of that war, in the middle of that...
I imagine if they weren't being occupied by a Jewish Western force, there wouldn't be as much of a stink going on about it, because I know that there are other countries, like my understanding of Russia, which is backing Iran, have a vested interest in keeping these issues going on so that they could effectively fight, almost to some extent, like a proxy war, more than anything else, trying to fight the culture war of not allowing America to have more influence in the Middle East.
Hatred, you go, no, I'm not going to deal with them because they don't like me enough. Well, then you're never going to get the peace.
It's not about dealing with somebody because it's not about dealing with somebody you don't like them enough. I'm just saying that the Palestinian people aren't going to accept any negotiations that Abbas is doing.
That's what I'm getting at, Destiny. But if you think...
Well, how are you going to get there? Because we're fucking taking 8 detours.
Because of that hatred, the Palestinians don't want peace. You're totally wrong. Totally, utterly wrong.
Okay, to be clear,
they want two-state solution.
I don't. That's not supported in any of the polling data that Palestinians want a two-state solution. And when you say that people want peace, I think peace is a reductionist argument. People don't want peace. People want justice, right? If Israel were to offer Palestinians a two-state solution where all of them move into the Gaza Strip and that would cause peace, nobody would be happy with that. They wouldn't consider that a just resolution to the issues that they face. I think that the issue is that Israel historically, I say historically, in the attempts to negotiate peace for the Palestinians, it feels like the people that get most support from Palestinians are radical groups like Hamas or radical actors, not people like Abbas, not the Palestinian Authority, which I think is historically unpopular with Palestinians, or Abbas, who's incredibly unpopular. And I think that issue, I don't know how you deal with it exactly, because it's a very complicated, top-down, religious, cultural, political, social issue that you have to deal with in terms of bringing the Palestinians to a calmer place. That has to happen before any kind of negotiations happen. Because again, going back to the start of this, you can't negotiate with Hamas. Nobody would expect anybody to. That just can't happen. Your leadership can't be Hamas. And if Palestinians hold free elections and they elect more terrorist groups, well, what are you going to do? How do you negotiate with that group of people? It just doesn't. It can't happen.
So, Destiny, you got to back.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Sure.
Backwards. Okay, in my opinion. So let me explain. Whenever there's a conflict, war, occupation, etc., going on, the radicals will always win. So
yeah, for sure. But if they stop the occupation or stop the limits that they've placed on there, then there's going to be more terrorist actions. That's kind of where we're at. That's why that's the justification for having so much basically policing of the Gaza Strip. So that's why it's so complicated. Right? That's why there's no easy solution. Cenk's like, no, you just got to stop the occupation. They're obviously not going to kill any more people, even though they would probably. And then everything's better. It's if it was that simple, we would have done that already. It's not that simple.
You saw it in Iraq, where the most radical groups got to be the strongest. Because in the middle of America bombing Iraq, the Iraqis weren't going to magically go, God, we love America. Let's pick some moderate Shia Muslim leaders to negotiate with the Americans about how much they're going to kill us.
But that same thing goes for Israel. Why would they elect people that are more interested in peace times if they're constantly being attacked as well, right?
And how much they're going to take our oil, etc. No, they're going to do what every human does, which is, who's going to kill them the most? They're killing us. Who's going to kill them? Oh, you guys, the most radical guys, want to kill them the most? We're with you. That's what happens with every human being in every conflict, okay? Cool. So in that cauldron, if you say, I can't believe they picked a radical group, that's it, I'm not negotiating with them. You'll never get to war. You'll never get to peace. That's just a fact.
Oh, I only have.
So on the other hand, if you get on the road to peace, and my God, if you got the peace, will they stay radical forever? Now, if you say that, it's almost a racist position. Once you get to peace and security and justice, you're right, it depends on the contours of the deal. If at that point you think the Palestinians will still attack you, you're basically saying, I don't think they're like other human beings. I think they're violent savages and nothing will appease them.
No, they don't have to be violent savages to be motivated to enact violence against Israel just because of the group of these people in the history that has involved Israel and Palestine. The reality is for the entirety...
By the way, it's totally mangled.
What's mangled?
So the Israelis, not Israelis, Jews and Muslims.
Dude, he just keeps talking. He just keeps derailing. I wonder if Destiny's just there for the conversation so he can put it up on his page. Because he's just letting them yap.
Including Palestinians, lived there for
We're not, no one, I don't.
centuries
So
in peace.
for the way that I don't care about Jews and Muslims. I don't think it's relevant here. I think what's relevant are Israelis and Palestinians. Jews and Muslims did live together, even in this very region, kind of happily. But the issue is that by their perception, European people came in who were also Jews and then created the state of Israel, and this is where a lot of the issues come from. But I mean, I don't know how relevant that is to today. The reality is the Palestinian people that are there don't like the Israeli people that are there. I don't think that it's an anti-Semitic driven hatred for them, although that bleeds into a lot of it since now Palestinians aligned with so many anti-Semitic and extremist groups like Hezbollah or the Houthis or Iran. But I think that the only way, like, I can't think of. So here's like an idea that I have. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but my guess for why radicals always win when it comes to rising up against countries is probably because radicals don't stay in power for very long. You've got coups, you've got radicals, they take over a government that's failing, but then eventually, inevitably, radical groups never hold power for long. Once they fail, something more stable happens for a long period of time. It's always those stable regimes that start to fail that have radicals come up that are offering something different in order to convince the people that we should try this instead. But I don't think you can negotiate peace with radicals and then just slowly over time turn them moderate. And also, if you're an Israeli citizen, why would you ever think that would happen, given the entire history of like your two states existing next to each other has been violence?
Yeah. So I'll address your questions, which I think are good ones, in a second. But
Thanks.
Destiny, you see that you seem to be saying Mahmoud Abbas is perceived as a moderate collaborator, so we can't negotiate with him because he won't have the credit.
It's not about whether you can negotiate with him. It's about whether the people will feel represented by him and then actually allow whatever solution that he comes up with to be implemented. All it really boils down to, man. The people need to feel represented. They need to hopefully vote in a leader that will actually negotiate and come to the table. And if they don't, then it's just unfortunately going to continuously happen. You can't force a representative onto them and say, this is your representative, and we're going to now negotiate with them, potentially get unfavorable solutions, and then it not work. Like, the people need to feel represented. I don't know. Because Cenk's perspective is force the Palestinians to have a leader that Israel wants them to have. It doesn't even make sense. That's still oppressing Israel, no? Or excuse me, that's still oppressing Palestinians, no?
Credibility. And Hamas's radicals, so we can't negotiate with them. It seems like you've eliminated every negotiating partner. And if you want further war and occupation, that's pretty convenient. I don't think you want that. So
Everything's just a conspiracy.
So help me understand who you think can be a partner for the Palestinians.
Hopefully someone they elect. He's been pretty clear about that. Destiny said like 5 words, and everybody understands his position, where if you said like 10,000 and nobody gets what you're saying.
Something that I thought was a really cool idea that I saw floated on Twitter that supposedly Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia were talking about. I don't know if this actually amounted to anything, it was true, but it was the idea of another country stepping in and them hosting a government basically there. That Saudi Arabia would send somebody to the West Bank and they would serve as trying to create a transitional government.
Oh, that kind of makes sense. That's interesting.
I think that sounds like an interesting idea.
Like an ally of Gaza saying, hey, we'll implement our, policing state while we help you set up a government. We're your allies. You like us more than a Western force. That sounds pretty smart. Okay, interesting.
Although I can see a billion ways that would go wrong, but at least it would lend some credence or some stability.
I mean, it's probably better than any other solution, right?
To a government there, but I can't even imagine how Iran would respond to that or what that would look like. Again, I can see many ways of it going wrong, but Abbas can't be negotiated with because the Palestinian people... Cenk, I'm sorry, but at no point in human history has anybody negotiated with somebody with no mandate from the people. You just can't do it.
This is such a basic point. The people don't like this guy. He can't be their representative, and they haven't voted him in. No, but work with him anyway. What the fuck?
Even Arafat himself was pressured by his thought of losing a mandate for the people for negotiating.
Look, you're totally assuming it. You're assuming that the Palestinians...
What's my alternative? What is your point? What is your perspective here?
Palestinians don't want 2 states. They don't want peace, and that's a crazy assumption.
But it's supported by all the polling data.
No, but...
Wait, how do you wrestle with that? How do you wrestle with the fact that the majority of Palestinians, when polled, support...
Of course. If in the middle of my family being murdered, you ask me, do you support the murderers? I'm going to say no, I don't support the murderers.
And I agree with you, but now you're just... But they've seen Israel as being the murderers for 60, 70 years, or for the entirety of them existing here.
And then you say, hey, Cenk, look, in that unfortunate analogy, your family got butchered. Do you love the guys who butchered? No, I don't. I hate them. And do you like the people who work with them? No, I hate them. Now, do you want it to stop? Well, yeah, I do want it to stop. Okay, so now how are we going to get it to stop? Now are you in favor of that guy stopping it or that guy stopping it? Well, now that's a different question.
Well, no, but that's the thing. That's the problem. Do they have to be in favor of the guy stopping it? But they're not apparently in favor of the guy that Cenk says should advocate on their behalf. So why would they listen to that advocation?
Then
You
do
keep,
I
hold
love
on.
the people
Wait,
who
this
butcher
is
my
okay.
family?
We have to. Okay, I feel like it's a very Western imposition when we say stop and when we say peace. I'm trying to get people to move off this. Nobody in the world ever wants peace. MLK didn't want peace, right? We talk about like the uneasy tension that exists when there's peace but not justice. What people want is justice. The problem is when you look at Israel and you look at Palestine, their definitions of peace oftentimes are highly conflicting. For Israel, peace might mean where they annex parts of the West Bank, where they continue to push the Palestinians in increasingly smaller land, they control their airspace indefinitely, and then they make a two-state solution where they're essentially occupying both states still, right? That might be peace for Israelis. Peace for Palestinians might be a one-state solution where every single 6-7 million Palestinians get a right of return. They all get to come back. They get to vote. They get to create a Sharia law, Islamist government, and that's peace for them. When we talk about peace, that's not relevant. What's really relevant is what is justice for both sides. And as long as Palestinians' form of justice,
Yeah, like a lasting compromise that will actually be maintained. Sure, I get what he's saying. I mean, I think that's what most people identify as peace, but I understand what he's saying.
is whether it's terrorist attacks or whether it's encouraging to fight against the Israeli government. This is the history of Palestine and Israel, is them constantly fighting against each other. And I don't know why we make this excuse for Palestinians where we're like, well, of course they don't support Abbas and they don't want to negotiate because their family's been killed. That's where all the right-wing governments in Israel came from, was from Palestinian terrorist attacks, especially the Second Intifada from 2000-2004. There's like the biggest radicalizing moment for so many Israelis. I don't know why we don't grant them the same leeway. Like, yeah, okay, obviously Israelis are super
There's a
radicalized
very
as well.
obvious reason why, Destiny. I mean, come on, you're a smart guy. One
What's the reason why?
side is occupying the other side.
Yeah, okay. One side is stronger than the other side.
So for you to
Okay.
say, "Oh, they're all equal," I can't believe the Palestinians.
I don't think he's saying they're equal. I think he's saying that this is a kind of like is the word tenuous work? Wartime to some degree, or conflict time. And so there's a lot of radicalized people have worked their way up in government because of that. It's not really, okay.
Didn't accept their occupation and fought back. That is just they're just so radical and nuts, right? And it's definitely their fault. And the other side goes, what? I was just occupying them for 75 years. What? I can't believe they attacked me. No, there's one side that is definitely guilty overall, and that is Israel for doing the occupation for 75 freaking years.
So what do? They just leave? Like, I don't understand. What does he mean?
I mean, and if you don't get that the occupation is the core of the problem here,
What does the occupation mean to him? Because like the occupation from a historical perspective, like 75 years ago, is that they should have never been in, well, they to call it Palestine in the first place. So is that what what does he mean by? Because that's what Palestinians mean. Like when they say the occupation, like, yeah, they've been occupying that area, like just in general, the occupation of them even existing, the existence of the Israeli or government or land or whatever. So I don't know. Cenk's perspective is just weird to me. It just doesn't really, something's not adding up. It sounds like he just thinks that Israel's all bad and it's all their fault. So it's like, well, why would you even be, if that's your perspective, why would you even be in support of like a two-state solution? I don't know.
Trying not to get it. You're trying to avoid the problem because you kind of want the occupation. And so be honest with yourself. And I'm addressing the audience, not you specifically, Destiny. So,
Well, I thought this was a debate between you and Destiny. So
as long as the people are occupied, they are going to
Okay.
fight back. If you deny that,
once they are no longer occupied, though, once there is less restriction on Gaza, they're going to fight back too. That's the thing. They're going to engage in more attacks. Like they were like those engage. That's the problem, right? It's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. You could probably argue that things are just always going to be fucked and they're never going to be able to come to a solution. That's probably what's actually going to happen. I don't really know, but okay.
you're just on a different planet. Like
I don't disagree that the occupation is a thing that bothers a lot of Palestinians and drives them towards more radical position.
Bothered? Yeah.
But I think one thing you don't understand is a lot of Palestinians consider Israelis present in the Levant, in this area, to always be an occupation. For some of them, a two-state solution is an occupation still. And I think for Israelis, I think the worry is that even if you did tomorrow negotiate a two-state solution, not only would the attacks not stop, now they're going to be elevated because now they've got their own country to launch attacks from. Now when we go and attack them, now we have to declare war and it's going to be a whole other thing. Why would Israeli citizens, what faith would they have that Palestinians would be peaceful after a negotiated two-state solution if Israel just right now acquiesced to all of their demands?
So two things about that, Destiny. Number one, if you stretch that out, that means if we ever give them a state, we think they're going to attack us more, so we're never going to give them a state. And that is actually exactly what Israel's doing. So then you're permanently the bad guys. I know it breaks your heart to think of it that way, and you won't accept it. No. Occupying 5 million people and humiliating them daily and just rubbing their face, we're in charge. You don't get to be free. You're
He's so annoying. Oh my god.
always going to serve us. But you should love it. Okay? So no, the occupation is definitely the core of the problem. Now, if you say, hey, wait a minute, the Israelis want peace afterwards and justice, and if the
I don't know. I'm onto this idea of an allying country that has a vested interest in allying with America as well, or a country allied with Palestine or the Palestinian people that has a vested interest in working with America. occupying the area and helping Palestine build itself up as a country, an independent country. With that I think would drastically reduce the violence. I would hope. That makes the most sense to me, I guess, at this point.
Palestinian state then attacks Israel. Okay, but then I'm 100% on Israel's side. And so then we have a completely different dynamic. But if you say, because they might attack us, even after we do peace and justice, I'm never going to give them a state, you're saying I'm going to be...
Well, I mean, didn't we like lower the blockade, or they lowered the blockade like years ago, and then people were instantly attacked? It's like, what the fuck?
Permanently the bad guy, permanently the occupier, permanently the oppressor.
Okay, wait, okay, I'm curious. Let's say right now,
fact, right?
let's say that, I mean, in a very reductionist way, kind of, let's say that Palestinians had a state, and it was a combined state of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Let's say that this was granted to them, a year ago. And then let's say that October 7th happens again. Would you support the current Israeli invasion into the Gaza Strip? Everything else the same. The same number, 25, 35, whatever thousand deaths, 20 to 30% were Hamas militants. Would you support the same Israeli military operation to the Gaza Strip if they were their own country?
So that's a really good question. And
Okay, I'm happy that Destiny's asking a lot of really good questions.
I have two answers to that. One is,
Okay.
I would accept it a lot more than the current situation.
But it sounds like you wouldn't accept it. I don't think you would. I think you'd be making the exact
hold on.
same...
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to the second part, right? So number one, I accept it more because, well, brother, you gave them everything they asked for. They still attack you. I get it, right? And so that's point one.
But that's not everything that they asked for, right? They want the Israel to be completely gone off the map, no? Isn't that what the data is showing?
Two is, no, even in that situation, does there come a point, Destiny, and I would flip this back to you, where you're 200-pound guy with giant muscles, and the other kid's like 80 pounds, and you've already punched them in the face 20 times. Now everybody looking around. The first time he punched you and you punched him back, people were like, totally get it. You punched him back twice, 4 times, people were like, okay, I still get it. He started the fight. On the 20th time, you're like, please, brother, okay, you were right. You were right to attack them because they attacked you. But stop hitting him in the face. You're going to kill him. Don't. This is getting grotesque. So is there a point where it gets to be too much? Of course, it would be under any situation where you've got a war between two countries, right?
Okay, but like nobody supports...
That,
no,
right?
That what?
That at some point, the country that was attacked has counterattacked so badly that you say, okay, enough.
I don't evaluate conflicts and counterattacked so badly or number of people killed. I'm thinking of like mission objectives, which I think is how every single commander everywhere in the history of all of warfare thinks of warfare. It's not just by number of deaths or whatever. It's by military objective, which is, in this case, it's decapitating what they consider to be a terrorist government or a terrorist group.
But you know that's impossible, right?
It's not impossible. I don't think so. No, of course
not.
You
think they're going to kill enough Hamas members? And at this rate, that means minimum like 55,000 dead Palestinians.
We don't know 100% how many. I mean, now that the ground invasion has started, I mean, the civilian deaths have slowed down quite a bit, or the
no, they haven't. 150 today. It's 150 every day.
Yeah, it's better than 700 to 1,000 a day in the early conflict. Like the deaths.
Okay.
We're way higher under the air attacks. You can look, you can plot, you can see all the deaths per day. There are still Palestinians dying every day, but the numbers have fallen off quite a bit compared to when the invasion started.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
But I don't think, with what you said, and I know you're saying you might support the invasion, although it sounds like you have a lot of reasons why you wouldn't support the invasion. I don't think so. I don't think anybody supports.
Attacked by an independent country, of course they get the counterattack. Of course.
No, it's not just a counterattack. You keep trying to make this sound like it's a tit for tat. That's not how this works. Like Israel wants.
Yeah, when somebody attacks you, another country or another group, you don't just counterattack and be like, all right, you hit us once, we'll hit you back. This isn't people punching each other in the face on the school ground. This is like somebody kills a bunch of your people, so you respond, and you eliminate the people who killed any of your people. Like, why would you just go like, okay, we're just going to hit you back. Hey, don't do that again. What's stopping them from doing it again? Hamas has no value for Palestinian life, so they aren't going to care about some kind of a counterattack. So yeah, like
wants to be a secure country. If you're getting attacked by somebody, you have a military objective afterwards. Their military objective is to not get attacked by them anymore. It's not like, well, you killed 1,200 of our people. We're going to go do it October 8th into your territory and kill 1,200 of your people. That's not how it works. That's not how it ever works.
So, Destiny, we got attacked on 9/11. We then attacked Afghanistan for 20 years. We attacked Iraq, which had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's obviously wrong.
And we killed and killed and killed and killed.
And then Obama killed the guy who did it. Well, I mean, they did kill themselves in the plane, but you know what I mean.
And did we accomplish our objective? 20 years later, people were like, no, I can't believe we left Afghanistan. We didn't accomplish the objective. Because if you like war, you're never going to accomplish the objective.
To be precise on that, I think we did accomplish a righteous objective, which was essentially the decapitation of al-Qaeda. I think we did a really good job of that. The problem was that we had other missions that were stupid. One was the deposing of Saddam Hussein, and then the other two were the nation-building adventures that we went on in Afghanistan and Iraq. I think that those three things were not good, and I didn't see a good justification for them. But I think that eliminating al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, I thought that was a good thing to do. I think.
Oh, absolutely. But did we actually target al-Qaeda? Now we're going to get too deep into that, but real quick, no, Rumsfeld turned down a U.S. general's
Wait a second. I think I think it's probably worth just moving on to the Houthis. Just talking about that.
Yeah, it would be. Wow, we did 40 minutes of that. That was 35 of it was Cenk talking. Incredible.
Just quickly addressing that. By the way, just apologies. The Wi-Fi and electricity all just turned off in my building, so I had to quickly rush over elsewhere.
What does Vietnam have to do with the conflict of Israel and Palestine?
and all the like.
Keep attacking Vietnam. We're not bordering Vietnam. Which I think is a little bit different, brother. They're bordering each other. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's okay. But look, I got to ask Destiny a question.
Okay, quickly, then we'll move on to the Houthis. Yeah.
So when you talk about accomplishing objectives and you say it's just slaughter Hamas, and we'll kind of know when we slaughtered them enough, but in the meanwhile we're just slaughtering, and it's
kill Hamas, get rid of them, and then make them so unpopular that their people don't want to vote it in. Hopefully they vote somebody else, another group in that is down for some kind of a compromise negotiation, and cool.
In Palestinians, but I'm good with it because we're accomplishing a military objective. I really want to ask you: are you like 150 largely innocent, meaning like the great majority of them, even according to the IDF, are innocent civilians? 150 of them, even in the reduced rate, die every day. Yeah. To me, that breaks my and Destiny. If 150 Israelis were dying every single day, and we're like, no, Palestinians ain't accomplished their objective. They still don't have a two-state solution. Kill another 150 Israelis. Kill another 150.
I mean, it's not about killing specific Israelis. It's about eliminating the force that is impossible to work with.
50 Israelis. Kill another 150 Israelis. I don't think you'd be good with it. I don't think America would be good with it. I don't
absolutely
think anybody
right.
would be good
I'm
with it.
not good with it. It's horrible. 150 Palestinians.
So
I don't know where this not really human thing comes out from. I don't know if you actually do have some anti-Semitism bleeding out of the. I don't know why you keep bringing that up. I don't think anybody's arguing for the anti-humanness of Palestinians. This is a very real geopolitical conflict that doesn't need. I do care if they die. Hamas doesn't care if they die, and Hamas is the owner of the region, and Hamas is the one conducting warfare. I don't know why we're so critical of the defending country here when Hamas is the one that Hamas has popular support of the Palestinians. Hamas operates out of the Gaza Strip, and
I thought Hamas wasn't very popular in Palestine. Maybe I was just wrong about that.
Hamas does infinite attacks against civilians. Hold on, you wanted me to answer the question. You asked me if I care that civilians are dying. I do. I think it's horrible that civilians are dying, but the responsibility there rests with Hamas. And if anything, we're the Palestinians that continue to support Hamas, which unfortunately is still the majority of the Palestinians.
Oh, why did I think that they weren't particularly popular? I thought that they had like drowning popularity. Popular with the people. Or he said in the West Bank, they were popular. In the West Bank, Hamas popularity surges among Palestinians in the West Bank. In the Israel-occupied West Bank, a decent pulse on 60% of Palestinians say the October 7th Hamas attack was a legitimate act of defiance. Oh, and the group has tripled to 44%. Wait, what? Okay, so apparently it's even popular in the West Bank. Oh, wow. Okay, they're very popular. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to eradicate them. That's pretty much all you could do.
That is a big issue, and that has to be dealt with before we ask Israel to just roll over and grant them infinite peace as a reward for the October 7th attack, and then pray that they don't attack them in the future. Even though if they did attack them in the future, people like you would still say, well, you don't have the right to do that, just like you would probably against the Saudi-led coalition going after the Houthis in Yemen, even though the Houthis in Yemen are shooting ballistic missiles into Riyadh. You're going to say the exact same thing. Well, no, there's a famine, there's a humanitarian crisis, there are too many civilians dying, like that attack. Israel is still the big guy. Israel's still the 200-pound guy against the 120-pound guy, even if they're two separate states. So no, I don't agree that giving them a separate state achieves anything for Israel. I don't even think it gives them better humanitarian standing for people internationally like you that would criticize them regardless. And I just don't see any reason. I think it's absolutely true, but
why the hell would I criticize Israel after they make a peace deal and they have two states? Well, that doesn't even make any sense.
You would criticize them for this same counterattack if Hamas continued to attack them from the Palestinian state.
No, I said you could do a counterattack, but there comes a point where you've murdered enough.
So wait, so counterattacks are just measured?
Well, I imagine that the point would be, I imagine that point would be once Hamas no longer had power, right?
Is a counterattack just measured in human life then? If they kill 1,000 of my citizens, I go kill 1,000 of theirs. Is that the point of a counterattack?
No, your point is endless war, and you just admitted.
I didn't say endless war. You want endless war. You're saying because if you kill,
they're going to attack anyway because they're savages, right?
No.
What the fuck? Who's talking about savages? Bro, it's not the it's that the organization Hamas has no interest in a peace deal, so you have to kill them so that you can implement a party that would actually be interested in like a legitimate, tangible peace. That's the conversation, no? That's what needs to happen.
How many are you going to murder, Destiny?
However many it takes to complete the mission. Because you are asking...
That's a fact. I'm in favor of no Israelis dying. None. Zero. You're in favor of 150 Palestinians being murdered every single day because you didn't accomplish your totally impossible objective of decapitating Hamas.
Cenk, when you see the IDF in Gaza right now, do you not see them as what they're trying to do, which is trying to wipe out Hamas? Or do you think they're just trying to kill Palestinians for no reason?
No, I think they're trying to punish collective punishment of the Palestinians. I think they're.
Then why would they warn Palestinian citizens that they're going to come in there and engage in airstrikes on particular places if they just want them to all die? Again, even if Israel doesn't care about Palestinians, like groups like America do care, and they pressure the fuck out of Israel because we're their biggest and strongest ally. So we're like, hey, you can't do what some of these things. That's the whole. That's what it boils down to.
Barely trying to get Hamas. They've barely been in the tunnels. They've rescued no
Didn't he
hostages.
say they eliminated like 25% of Hamas?
They've murdered hostages.
Wait, hold on. How can you say
Palestinians wantonly on tape with your own eyes, and then you tell us, oh golly gee, they meant to shoot someone else, but they just accidentally murdered 27,000 Palestinians. They are the best military in the world, but they always miss. And
Well, it's not that they missed. They're like, hey, we're going to attack this area, and then Hamas doesn't let the people leave, so they're kind of set with no choice, so that they can engage in like propaganda regimes that people like Cenk will fall for.
oh, there goes another civilian. Boy, they were really trying not to kill them. Come on. Again, if you're an Israeli supporter, right-wing Israeli supporter, you believe that with all your heart. I get it. But the rest of the world doesn't believe that.
But nobody.
at
Hold on.
all.
The rest of the first
At
of all,
all.
if Israel was trying to just kill civilians, a 2 or 4 to 1 ratio of civilian to fighter death for civilian to Hamas militant death in a highly urban environment completely betrays that entire analysis. If they were trying to just kill civilians, they're doing the worst job of any invading power in a highly urban environment ever. Why wouldn't they have killed 100?
Interesting. I didn't realize that they had that statistic of how many people would die in some kind of like an urban environment in front of an invasion. But if they're hitting under the number, it shows that they are trying to reduce casualties, even if they don't care. Again, even if they don't care, they're kind of told that they have to care.
100,000 or 500,000 civilians. So they really want to just kill as many civilians as possible.
No, Israel said they don't care about what we said. You just okay. I think that I don't care. That's a dumb thing for you to think is true. Israel is massively financially supported by us. They can say they don't care what we think. They do. It's like just a fact. They couldn't exist without us. Of course they care what we think. So you're just wrong, objectively. Sorry.
Why they only killed 20? Wait, has it even gotten to 30,000 yet? Why have they killed so few?
Oh, it hasn't even been 30,000. Can you imagine?
And if they don't care about what we think and they're still valuing the lives of Palestinians, then that just speaks even more positively to the Israeli government.
We said about Israelis, they didn't even kill 30,000 Israelis. They only killed 1,200 Israelis. What's the big deal? Because that is what Israel's doing. They killed 1,200.
Why have they only killed? Why have they killed so few? Why have they killed so
Now
few?
it takes a whole week to kill 1,200 Palestinians, but no one cares.
Okay.
Why, first of all,
dead Palestinians
why?
are irrelevant to the West because that's why I make the point about non-humans.
No, that's not true.
Because if
Dead
it was Israelis
Palestinians
being killed, you would be livid.
Dead-
But when it's Palestinians being killed, you just genuinely don't.
No, Cenk, I think that's not the point Destiny's trying to make. What he's trying to say is, why, if Israel really were just trying to kill Palestinians and they were
No,
just
that's
without
easy.
punishment, couldn't they kill so many more people?
Yeah. So that's an easy talking point. Yes, there's a difference between genocide and Holocaust. If anyone says Israel's trying to do a Holocaust where they're trying to kill every single Palestinian, that is obviously not true, right? If they wanted to kill every Palestinian, they could, obviously, right? So then the question is, yes, but are they targeting Palestinians, which is the definition of genocide, and killing them in a disproportionate way? Yes, obviously.
You said
right?
the whole point of what they're doing is trying to kill Palestinians.
No. Okay, so let's be.
You think that they would do fine on their own? We've given them $75 billion a year, every year since the conflict started. What other backer do you think that they're going to find that's going to give them that much like money? What world do you live in? Oh, no, I think they could do fine. They don't need us. You're fucking delusional. You're delusional. You're fucking delusional. We've given them $150 billion in foreign aid in 2 years. And you're like, no, they can just find someone else. You're fucking insane. I don't understand like the cope that's going on. This concept that they don't want us as trade partners. They don't want us as support like structure. We're like the biggest advocate for them when it comes to like the UN conversations about them. I think we're one of the only people that recognize their right to defend themselves. Yeah, they survived for decades alone. This isn't fucking 19 whatever. This is the 2024. You're delusional. You're just delusional if you don't think that they want us as an ally. You're delusional. You're insane. Okay, it's just a world we live in now. Oh, they only supported, we only supported them after the 70s? Yeah, and before that they had the support of Russia. And before that they didn't have any support. They didn't do very well. And now here we are, giving them massive like financial infrastructure just through trade deals, and now giving them billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. What are you talking about? The perspective that they don't need us and that they wouldn't listen to what we have to say is stupid. You're just being stupid. You're just being dumb. I don't know what to tell you. You're just being fucking stupid. Nobody. Okay, there's no reason to even argue with this. You guys are fucking idiots. I don't know what to tell you. This idea that they don't care about our allyship is fucking moronic. You have to be dumb to think that. No, they would just drop us in a moment. What are you talking about? That's insane. That's insane. Holy fuck. Oh my God. That's insane. And it doesn't change the fact that, like, the conversation is that they seem to have, based on all available metrics, they have a heightened sense of the amount that they care about the civilians in Gaza, right? Apparently, compared to other, urban warfare environments, they have drastically lower numbers of death. So what you're saying is either it's because of America's influence or because Israel actually cares about the Palestinian people. That's it.
Super clear.
I don't know why I'm arguing with people. I don't know why I'm arguing with fucking morons in the chat, like, who have no concept of understanding. Yeah, they don't care about the $75 billion a year that we're giving them in aid. You're right. You're just very correct. You're so smart.
Objective. I mean, they never go in the tunnels. They barely ever kill Hamas. They never.
Why would they go into tunnels? Like, I understand that would just be them trapping themselves.
What do you mean barely kill Hamas? 20 to 30% of the deaths so far been attributed to Hamas fighters. How is that barely killing them?
Yeah, like, they've never showed any, like, anyway.
They never showed any what? They showed tons of video footage of tons of different things, but okay.
Okay, all right. So, but even by their own admission, they killed 2/3 civilians. And that is the best case scenario.
Which isn't bad, given that it's highly urban warfare. Those ratios are about what you'd expect them to be.
What? You're good with Hamas, because Hamas killed 2/3 civilians.
Hamas wants to kill civilians.
No, but what do you mean? They killed troops and they killed civilians at the same exact rate as the IDF.
I think it was like 5-1 or more. Wasn't it 1,200 people killed and 200 were military people?
I mean, Hamas's literally founding statement is to kill all the Jews, whereas Israel has been shown to try to care about human life. Again, they're dropping pamphlets. They're trying to get people to evacuate. Hamas won't let them. It's very clear that Israel has a higher value of life for the Palestinian people than Hamas does for Israeli people.
Some odd civilians and 300 some odd soldiers. So
wait, how many civilians did you say?
It's terrible terrorism. When Israel does it, they had to murder.
Cenk, can you not make the distinction of Hamas going into Israel on October 7th, just trying to kill civilians for the sake of it, not any other mission? But then what Israel are doing? What?
Look, I hated that they killed civilians.
Yeah.
But they also
that wasn't the question.
Killed troops. So it's like...
No, I understand that, but can you not see the difference in alternative motive between what the IDF are doing and what Hamas are doing?
No, first of all, I don't... let me be clear. I don't believe the right-wing government of Israel. When they say we're the world's worst army, even though we have every capability in the world, we just keep missing. We just accidentally murdered...
I don't think that they're missing, though. I'm pretty sure that they're hitting their targets, but... Hamas is hiding amongst civilians.
25 times the number of civilians as Hamas, the terrorist group Hamas. But oops, did I do it again? So what are they trying to do? They're trying to have plausible deniability for vengeance. So their plausible deniabilities, no, I sent guys there. I tried to get Hamas. I tried to get the hostages a little bit. But as I was doing that, I murdered, and I dug up their cemeteries, and I took their ancestors, and I rubbed it in their face. Look at me spitting on your ancestors. And then I bombed their hospitals. Then I bombed their schools. Then I bombed 85% of the buildings. And
well, that's everywhere Hamas is hiding.
And then now a quarter of them, 500,000 people, are starving. 80% of the world's people that are starving in the world are in Gaza right now. But if you...
Yeah, that's really sad. I wish Hamas wasn't such an oppressive government force that kills its own people.
You think that's all an accident? They didn't mean to do any of that.
80% of the starving people in the world are in Gaza right now?
That's right, according to the United Nations. I know you're going to say, the United Nations is anti-Semitic. We don't count it. Nothing
Considering the population...
Oh, no, that sounds kind of off.
Of Yemen is like 35 million people, and there are only 2 million people in Gaza. And I'm like half the population of Yemen. That's just one country. That number is insane. There's no way that number is true.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't matter. You're good with it. You're good with the deaths. You're good with the starvation. They haven't accomplished their objective yet. Their objective is vengeance and terrorism.
Then they're doing a really bad job.
Okay, this means that Palestinians in Gaza make up 80% of the global population that is currently experiencing famine. As chief economist for the UN world, that sounds okay. Really? Only about 10% of the global population regularly goes to bed hungry. Is that really true? Okay, maybe that's true. Okay.
Why haven't they killed?
When is enough enough? When Hamas is dead and they no longer are able to carry out terrorist attacks against Israel, and they actually, and the Palestinian people elect a governmental representative that's actually willing to vie for a two-state solution and peace. That's actually practical. That's when enough is enough. It's very simple. I said that from the start. The fact that you're asking that question means you're not listening to me and you're just having a crybaby meltdown.
400,000 Palestinians.
Because they wouldn't be able to get away with it. Okay,
so they're trying to kill indiscriminately, but only as much as they can get away from. But they've also managed to kill 25% of the civilians are militants. And
so your big defense of this genocide is, well, we didn't kill them all.
There is no genocide.
We didn't kill them all.
Yeah.
I mean, we butchered 27,000 people. But we didn't kill them all. Okay. By the way, that's exactly what the Serbs could have said in Srebrenica. By the way, the Turks could have said it about the Armenian genocide. They attacked us and hid behind their human shields.
So 2 million of them needed to be death marched?
We had a right to defend ourselves. Hold on. We had a right to defend ourselves. And we didn't kill all the Armenians, and yet you call it a genocide.
That's never happened. Apparently, we've killed a quarter of Hamas. Why wouldn't that happen? I don't know what you're telling me.
Genocide. You see how absurd that sounds when it's about Turks. But when it's about Israelis, nope, regular rules do not apply. They can kill anyone they like, and they can just keep on butchering them to the end of time. I gave you a real peace plan. A real peace plan.
What was the peace plan that he gave? Your peace plan was force the Palestinians to support a person that they don't support and come to a solution that Israel wants, but apparently Palestine won't want. It wasn't practical. That doesn't give the Palestinian people the representation that they want. So what are you talking about?
And that gets Israel's security. If security for Israel is not good enough, then you're admitting you just want vengeance.
Wait, so just before, I know we need to close up, so we've been pushing on Cenk the whole time, so I want to ask you, Destiny, a question on your proposed plan. At what point would you say this is the IDF have actually accomplished their plan to eliminate Hamas, or how many? I know I asked you this in the last debate, but it's a really good question.
Unfortunately, I'm not
worth it.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual military decision is when the job is finished. I don't know if that includes a certain amount of their leadership killed. I don't know if that includes a loss of confidence from the Palestinian people, or if it includes a certain percentage of fighters, or if it includes a certain percentage of whatever. I don't know how they do that military distinction. Is
there a certain mark of death that you're okay with, or it's just really whatever it takes to kill out?
I mean, it's not nobody's really okay with the death. It's just the unfortunate reality of what's happening here.
What I would be looking for basically is to make sure that the ratio of the ratio of militants killed to civilians killed still seems to be falling within where you would expect it to be for combat like this, given the number of militants and the number of civilians. I don't think there's.
I thought he said it was lower, not expected it to be where it is. Okay.
Anything right now that's.
I could have swore he said it was lower than usual.
Crazy out of whack. If it's about 1 militant killed for every 3 civilians, given how highly urbanized the conflict is, given how much Hamas hides among the civilian population and operates out of the civilian population. So as long as the warfare continues to move in that direction, and hopefully there's no major famine or.
It's so interesting because I made the point multiple times that Hamas has no value for Palestinian people, and they're constantly using them as human shields and not letting them evacuate when Israel gives sign that they're going to bomb a specific spot. And you've never, in the chat, there's somebody having a meltdown. You not once have referred to what I said there. You just ignore it and then go cry about some other point. How come there's a higher expectation of Israel caring about the human life of Palestinians when there's zero expectation on Hamas for letting their own people be killed by using them as human shields? I don't understand that. What a crazy government.
Anything that occurs in Gaza the same way that there has been in Yemen, then I would probably continue to support the military operation, because with Hamas in the Gaza Strip, what is our 6th Hamas-Israeli war? It's not going to stop. That's never going to stop. Hamas have been launching rockets constantly. We can use all the morally loaded, dogged or bad terms we want about Israel being murderers or killing all Palestinians or blah 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 blah. But the reality is this is what Hamas thinks about Israeli citizens. That's why they launch rockets every single day and have been for 15 years. It's why they celebrated October 7th. It's why their spokespeople say they want to do more and more October 7th. It's why they are committed to aligning with people that also want Israel destroyed. Right? If you look at who are the Palestinian Hamas partners, it's the Houthis.
What do you mean, where do they go? What do you mean? They move to a different spot that's not about to get bombed. They're being forced to not go anywhere. That's what it is. They're being told to evacuate. Thousands of pamphlets are being dropped in. Phone calls are being placed. All these different things. And then across the radio. And then Hamas doesn't let them leave. Because they want to use them as human shields. And they want to be able to engage in propaganda by saying, look, they're killing all of our people. They want us to all die. When Hamas is the one killing their people. They're letting their people get killed. They're using them as human shields. They have no value of life for the Palestinians.
It's Hezbollah, it's Iran. These people don't have moderate positions towards Israel, and they surely don't support 2-state solutions among themselves either, any more than they support a North and South division in Yemen. So, yeah, right now, I don't know how it's going to happen or what has to happen if another Arab state has to take the reins on it, but something has to happen to slow down or calm down the feelings of the Palestinian people that are pushing them to want to fight so much. And Cenk's idea of having a boss be the negotiator, historically, it doesn't work. You can't just pull a random person from Mexico and say, you are now the Mexican negotiator, and we're going to do trade agreements, and we're going to do state agreements, and we're going to do border. That just doesn't work. It can't work. It hasn't even worked in this region. No, you don't want peace. You're asking for an impossibility, which is for Israel to say, okay, you guys that have all been trying to kill us for however many years, we're just going to go ahead and hand the reins over to you to completely govern a state and hope that despite the fact...
I just find it so interesting because anybody else in that supports Palestine would look at Cenk's solution as oppressive. Hey, take this person that Palestinians don't like, that doesn't represent them, and then have them negotiate for peace with Israel. It's why would that work? That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
that you're being supported by terrorist groups that are shipping weapons to you and want to see our state destroyed, we hope that you're going to just become peaceful over time for reasons, even though we're negotiating a peace agreement with somebody that even was popularly elected and still is seen as a tool of the Israeli government, but maybe with only 10% support, if we negotiate something with him, you guys will all accept it. That's just unrealistic. It would never happen.
I can't take it. I'm going to say something potentially offensive, but
Oh no.
Okay.
that is just a dumb talking point.
I mean, this entire time he's been effectively telling Destiny that he wants Palestinian people to die. So, and that he's he doesn't like Muslim people. So, okay.
Every battle is between two sides who hate each other.
Okay.
If the Turks said to the Armenians, well, you guys still hate us, and they did. They hated us. You know why they hated us? Because we occupied them. Because we were an empire, and we did not give them rights.
Cool.
And we said, we are in charge, and you are not, and you should know your role. Turks rule over Armenia.
And shut your mouth. Got
If we said,
him.
I can't believe they hate us. I can't believe they attacked us. We have every right to murder them to no end. That would be absurd, and that's called a genocide. And the fact that the Armenians hated us does not justify anything. You do a peace deal
Dude, he's such a virtue signaler. Holy fuck.
with the people who hate you. You don't do it with the people who love you. So this
Okay. So Hamas is not interested in a peace deal. So how do you engage with that? The peace deal, obviously, Hamas doesn't like Jews. I don't understand. They don't want Israel to be in existence. How can you negotiate with them?
lunatic standard of I will not do a peace deal until the Palestinians love me is just total bullshit.
Who's ever said that? What are you talking about?
It's not about them
I don't
loving
want
you.
a
It's
peace
about
deal.
you
I
have the
just
way
wanna
that you
murder
do
them.
peace deals is by eliminating their will to fight. That is how a peace deal is
my
done.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to have to happen here if they elected a government that wants to kill all Israelis and completely push them off the land. Like, yeah, you're going to have to break their will to fight, and then you're going to have them elect somebody that's willing to actually engage in a peace deal. It's an unfortunate reality. But if there's still high support with Hamas that wants all Jews dead, then what do? Like, take a deal, take a two-state solution, you know?
God.
If-
I like the idea of of another Arab country coming in that the Palestinians like, by the way, and using them as a facilitator of like peace, like have them occupy for a little bit until the government can get set up in Palestine. That's not murderous, and yeah,
They still want to fight.
Murder Destiny.
How many died in World War II? How many Soviet citizens were killed by the Germans? How many Nazis were killed? How many German citizens were killed in the Dresden bombings? How many Japanese people were killed in the Tokyo bombings? No, you're talking about.
You just said it.
Okay,
I want to murder no Israelis. Never.
none.
Ever,
Okay,
ever.
so in World
Cenk is such a fucking loser.
in World War II, in World War II, in World
Every day.
okay, in
That's
World
a fact.
in World War II, you would have negotiated peace with Nazi Germany. Is that what you would have wanted to do?
It's total apples and oranges.
Okay,
The
no,
Nazis-
hold on. We hate each other. You don't negotiate peace with people you like. You negotiate peace with people you say. So the Nazi Germany.
Of course you do.
So we really hate the Nazis. Would you negotiate peace with Nazi Germany in World War II instead of going to war?
So Destiny,
I mean, this is a good question.
this is your favorite stupid analogy.
I mean, it's a good analogy. Obviously, Nazi Germany was stronger, but fundamentally speaking, you have a group that wants all the Jews dead, which is frankly both Hamas and Nazi Germany. How do you make peace with them if they aren't willing to recognize Jewish people as people? You have to destroy that governmental entity until people are like, all right, let's have a better government. And look, Germany's great. Maybe 50 years from now, we'll see Palestine as like the leading everything. You know, like Germany is one of the leading countries. You know what I mean? So, hey, fuck it.
Ask the exact. Call it down.
I
It's
gotta
okay.
stop saying.
Ask it, Tom. Go ahead, do it.
Okay,
I'm gonna ask the
sorry.
same question when you finish your rant, though. I'm gonna ask
Okay,
you: Would you
let me
negotiate
answer.
peace with
Let me
Nazi
answer.
Germany? Go ahead.
So the Nazis were in the middle. We're in the middle of murdering 6 million Jews and 13 million innocent people, let alone the millions that died in the war. So if in the middle of their murder, somebody said, hey, let's give them what they want, that would have been dumb.
So, like,
But
right after
and
October
hold on,
7th?
Hold on, you asked the question and I'm answering it. But when the Germans stopped fighting back, okay? And
It's not the same, to be honest. Thank you for letting us know that comparisons aren't the same. I really appreciate your incredible input.
you could say, hey, I want Hamas. And the difference between Hamas and the Nazis is that the Nazis had a massive army. So when they fought, they killed thousands and thousands and eventually millions, right?
Okay.
The Palestinians have peace shooters. So they're like, oh, well, technically one came over. Okay, nobody got hurt and we have Iron Dome. But good enough, I want to just keep going. No, you get to peace at some point. But you don't do it while the Nazis are butchering people. That is when you, that is a
Yeah, but I agree with that. But didn't Palestine just launch an attack? I mean, you can make the same argument. How oppressed was Germany? Incredibly. Germany was massively oppressed after World War I. And those people were starving for something. And so they elected a radical leader. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Stop cherry-picking comments. If you want, when this segment's over, you can come talk to me in Discord. I'll give you like 10 minutes to look stupid. It's fine.
Correct.
legitimate war to protect those people.
So you have to.
But right now, October 7th happened months and months ago, and every day you've been killing thousands and thousands or hundreds and hundreds of Palestinians, and you say, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, kill more, kill more, kill more. You're the guilty one.
So once Normandy
Is Destiny turning down Hassan's uncle?
happens, and the Germans are like, okay, shoot, we don't know if these forces are going to push on us. Maybe it's
You're comparing Palestinians to Germans. The Palestinians have no power. The Nazis had tremendous.
Yeah, then they all hate the Jews, so they're similar. They're more similar. I don't know.
That's not. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about negotiating peace with an enemy. Would you negotiate peace with Nazi Germany, rather than going to war and killing potentially millions more?
Destiny, do you know that?
No, we did.
We did not do that. We fucking eradicated the Nazis. What are you talking about? We decimated the Nazis. What are you talking about? We didn't do peace with them. We destroyed their government and said, you're fucked. That's what we actually did.
No, we didn't. Their leader killed himself. We bombed their cities into non-existence. We completely destroyed half the country. That's not even counting what we did to Japan. We destroyed the enemy's will to fight. They surrendered unconditionally.
You know what we did after that?
After the unconditional surrender, yes, after.
After the unconditional surrender, now they're some of our greatest allies, Japan and Germany. Absolutely. Like, what? I don't understand what Cenk's point is.
Hold on, let me explain. You know what we did after that? We did, as a world, we did the concept of war crimes, so that both sides would stop murdering their civilians so grossly. The Nazis murdered all those civilians, and let's be honest, America murdered tons of civilians in Japan and in Germany, etc.
Yeah,
and at the end of that, we looked around and said, that was awful. We don't want that to happen again. We're going to come up with the idea of concept of war crimes and make sure that you're targeting troops and not civilians. Now, after all the progress we made on that, after we defeated the Nazis,
yeah, and Hamas still lets their people die by using them as shields. What a terrible thing.
after we set up a decent, at best, just system, now you guys go, yeah, war crimes, who cares? Let's go back to the bad old days where we murder each other's civilians to no end. But by the way, I'm not a terrorist. I want to kill all their civilians, but I'm not a terrorist.
Nobody is talking
Nobody wants to kill any of their civilians. Like, what?
about killing all their civilians. Also,
My fucking point from the beginning is like, hey, I wish there was a two-state solution, and I think that Israel should pay reparations to Palestinians for the land that they took. Like, ideally, I don't know if that would be practical, but like ideally, so they can build their government back up and actually be like a country with abundance, so that they would have better education and better job opportunities and better like ways and qualities of life. Nobody's saying kill Palestinians. It's like literally nobody wants that. But Hamas is leaving them no choice by using them as human shields.
I'm pretty sure Geneva Conventions. This was after Geneva Convention. Geneva Convention was after World War I, not World War II. Okay, so we already had laws governing conflict, and we still killed a whole lot of civilians. Also, secondly, again, my point stands. How did we achieve peace after World War II? It was with a lot of cooperation, after massive invasions, after destroying the enemy's will to fight, and then followed by decades and decades of occupation.
So, one last example to address that.
I mean, yeah, my understanding is that Japan still is not allowed to have a military force, or it's a limited military force. Can Japan have a military? I think that they have to have a limited. Yeah, why Germany is allowed to have an army, but not. Yeah, Japan has a very limited like force, like police force, because of what happened. That's my understanding. This is an article here, like why Germany can have one and Japan can't. Okay.
The Mongols came into Baghdad and killed 800,000 people back in the 1200s. Killed every man, woman, and child. And they could have just said, "Well, look, man,
What is this one?
Destroying the enemy's will to fight, and then followed by decades and decades of occupation.
So, one last example to address that. The Mongols came into Baghdad and killed 800,000 people back in the 1200s. Killed every man, woman, and child. And they could have just said, "Well, look, man, I can't negotiate with these guys until I'm done, until I feel safe. So I killed every man, woman, and child. Now I feel safe. Now we can negotiate." I would much prefer to negotiate in the middle if you have someone that is not the equivalent of Nazis.
Well, we don't have that person to negotiate with when it comes to Hamas, right?
We're in the middle of killing 13 million innocent people. Sorry,
So I was just looking at the time, and you're running around 10 minutes late. Do you want to finish now, or do you want to
last
finish
thing
the
is, I know you wanted to say something about the Houthis, so go ahead and ask about the Houthis.
Okay, so maybe we should just do this quickly. So, how should America respond to the Houthis? That was really it. So, Cenk, you go, and then we'll go to Destiny.
So,
I don't know too much about the Houthis. Fuck them. They're attacking like trade ships, right? Yeah, fuck them. Who gives a shit about them?
I understand what the Houthis are doing.
Fuck them inside of their anus.
And what they're basically doing is a toll road in the Red Sea, and in order to go around, it costs 10% more to those ships. Wow, I'm so worried about the 10% more. And
wasn't one of his big talking points in another conversation with Destiny like a year ago about how inflation is ruining middle class America? So wouldn't that 10% increasing like have a profoundly negative impact on the middle class people of America and other countries? for those trade ships to be attacked? Right? So wouldn't you actually want to care? Isn't that one of his big things, is talking about how the middle class is like oppressed and that things are so expensive and we shouldn't be that way? So why would you be so nonchalant about a 10% increase of the goods and services because of the, I guess you have to amp up security forces?
So should we protect our own ships? Of course, we have to protect our own ships. So, you know, you do a missile strike from where the missiles came from that attacked your ships, fair. But for God's sake, get out of there. Get out of there. I don't want a wider regional war. And right now, the neocons that include Biden, Trump, and all of them, Nikki Haley is the worst of them all.
Minaj?
Or also, and Lindsey Graham, that bloodthirsty monster, are saying war with Iran. And, oh, the Houthis attacked us. Oh, we got 3 people dead that we put in harm's way in Jordan. So
why is he devaluing the life of 3 people? I don't understand. He went on a whole tangent about how Destiny wants people to die. Now he has 0 empathy for 3 people who were killed. I'm not understanding.
Because of that, even though we attacked, oh, they counterattacked. That's it, World War III. Go attack Iran, go attack Yemen, get us into an unwinnable, ridiculous, insane war where more Americans are going to die. We're going to waste a couple more $1 trillion, which is actually the whole point of this. The defense contractors, the oil companies bribe all of our politicians. They love this war. They profit tremendously from these death and destruction and war. Get out of the Middle East. Peace, 2-state solution, end the occupation, and get the hell out.
Destiny?
You can't attack and close international shipping lanes because you're not happy about another conflict that's unrelated to you. That should absolutely be enforced with the full brunt of every military option we have available to us. If you're attacking or trying to close international shipping lanes, then yeah, your stuff is going to get blown up. I think that's a totally reasonable response. If the United
Sure, I agree with that.
States should be doing anything internationally, it should be guaranteeing free passage through shipping lanes. It's like one of the only like noble, righteous missions we could possibly have when it comes to conducting international warfare.
I don't agree with noble. It's all about money. In fact, they call this Operation Prosperity Guardian.
Okay, well, just to be clear, it might be about money, but like money drives the world, and I imagine that we're getting goods in America from, you know, this, whatever's being shipped back and forth. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way, whoever would receive those goods is going to have to pay more money, and if it's, that could be financially oppressive to people. Like trades, yes, money is involved, but money is involved when it comes to food too. We still need food, right? You still need supplies. I don't know. It just seems like a virtue signal of just like, oh, well, money. Oh, so you just care about money? Yeah, everybody does, because it helps you live. When things are cheaper and you have more money, then you're happier. It's not like a hot take.
So they're pretty brazen about it. This is all about capitalism.
Yeah, I agree. It is a lot about money, and poor people that can't afford things like food or water or other goods or services are the ones that are probably hurt the most when these types of shipping things get contravened, right? The cost of shipping containers is exploding across Europe, who already were feeling crunches from energy pressure and energy prices. Like, it's not like rich people are necessarily being hurt as much by increased cost of goods and services. It's probably going to be poor people that get hurt the most, is what I would imagine. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's about, yes, it is about money, but I mean, that's a really, I mean, at the end of the day, being homeless is about money and capitalism, I guess, right? If they had more money and more capitalism, maybe they would not be homeless, but I mean, that's a really weird reductionist way to say it. Like, any starving,
or maybe I think you might have meant to say like less capitalism. I don't know.
Person's problem is they don't have enough capitalism in their life. Like it's a weird thing, right?
So look, I got no leg to stand out because I called one of your arguments dumb earlier. Wait, every argument you say is reductionist. When no, it literally costs 10% more to sail around Africa. So we're saying we're going to go kill those Houthis, and I get it. Like I said, you could do a counterstrike. It's logical, but we're going to go kill them and maybe get into a wider war because not America, but corporations have to pay 10% more.
What? But those corporations are just going to pass it on. And even if we live in some kind of communist system where you didn't have to pass on profits or whatever, it would still cost more resources. Because I'm imagining the reason that it costs more is because they have to either take a different route or they have to beef up security, right? So that requires more resources, even if you don't live in a system with money. Resources aren't infinite. I don't understand Cenk's point. Does he understand his point?
So we see kind of every opportunity.
Wait, hold on. If corporations have to pay 10% more, who's ultimately paying more at the end of the day?
I know the beloved corporations must be protected because of poor people.
What is the corporate? No, if your profit margin as a corporation is 10%, and now your cost is 10% more, you don't make any money. You have to. The consumer's going to pay the cost. That's how all inflation costs work, right?
We can get into an inflation and cost debate during inflation.
This is not a debate you have to have. It's so basic.
Companies jacked up their prices.
No, I said this is. I don't
bragged about how they didn't need to actually do it, but they found out that they could pay the price, so they jacked it. So it's look, you want to defend capitalism by killing people, I get it, but hey, do you agree?
Such a virtue signaler. This is so funny.
That the Houthis?
There's no way that this man has the amount of confidence he does. Holy fuck. Oh my god, he's so dumb.
What they're doing, we might hate it and we might counterstrike, but it's very logical. They're trying to.
I prefer 1.6, by the way.
Help their brothers. in Palestine. They're the only ones that are helping. And
they're
they're
not-
saying, okay, we're going to put a 10% tax on you guys.
They're not
because
trying to
you're
help their
murdering
brothers in
our
Palestine.
brothers.
Their own citizens are experiencing unprecedented famines. What might end up being the worst famine in the last century. A real famine, not the one that you guys talk about happening in Gaza all the time, but an actual one where hundreds of thousands of people are starving to death. Where when you look up pictures, like if you Google like pictures starving Gaza children, you see children in okay clothes with dirty faces standing in lines for food. And when you look up pictures of starving Yemeni children, you see babies with bloated stomachs and corpses. Okay, Yemen is having a real famine where hundreds of thousands of people are either starving. I think 40% of their children have stunted growth. They don't have access to food or water. UN missions are having to
Damn, they're never going to be able to be basketball players.
be cut off because the Houthi are literally commandeering supplies for warfare. So no, I don't think that the Houthis' mission right now should be to blow up international shipping containers to screw over the whole rest of the world to help their brothers in Palestine. They probably are doing it because they get weapons and training from Hezbollah and from Iran, and those people are invested in the mission in Israel, so they kind of got a way to suck Yemen into it as well, which I think is immoral and bad and horrible.
Cenk, I just want to ask you a point on the Houthis. So just aside from the actual tax points, do you think every time America's intimidated like this, America should back away and say, okay, we'll do another route and we'll pay 10%
No,
more?
no, I hate that kind of thinking. That kind
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to show our strength, and the part of it too is just we have to show our strength and be like, hey, you can't fuck with us, or we're gonna fucking rip your dick off, you know?
of thinking is what gets us into
Because then people will be like, oh, I guess we could test them constantly. So you kind of have to give a very strong message, right?
endless wars. Oh, you were trying to intimidate me. You know what I did? I murdered more of your people. Then you murdered more of my people. Then I murdered more of your people. And round we go. Oh, I'm going to be tougher and bigger, and I'm going to
Cenk is the kind of person who just never could make a tough decision. That's just the kind of person he is.
intimidate you back by killing you more. No,
Just to be clear, that mentality is what has stopped wars worldwide. That's why NATO and the United States being the big bad bully guy, that's why major powers generally don't go to war anymore, with the exception right now of Russia and Ukraine. And that's also, funnily enough, the history of Israel too. Them being a big bad bully is what finally got all the other countries around them, as you said, to acquiesce and sign peace deals with them. So that seems to be the way to go, is making yourself small and vulnerable and accepting terrorist attacks over and over again and getting, blown up with guys. That's called appeasement. We've tried that. It doesn't work. It never works. Usually the way that you make it work is to be the bigger bully and say, hey, listen, if you do some shit, you're going to get slapped. That's how
It's funny because he's right, but I don't think it comes off. This is probably the only thing that makes Cenk look good to somebody who can't swallow like the unfortunate, like hard truth of like, yeah, you have to. The way I would have said it is that you need to be strong enough for people to respect you. That's what you need to be. You need to be strong enough for people to respect you, and if they don't respect you, then they're going to try to roll over you. That's the unfortunate way of the world. Destiny's saying you got to be a big bully. He's not wrong about it. I just think that, I guess, optically, he probably could have came at it a little bit of a different way, said something a little different. But, like, yeah, he's generally right. That's the only thing that's going to make Cenk's point look okay from that optics perspective, because I don't think people are going to interpret the way I do necessarily all the time.
it usually works.
Okay, look, guys. Last things here. I'm in favor of balance, so that because if you go to logical extremes and you go, hey, the minute there's a hostility, appeasement, I give in everything you want. Of course, that's a terrible strategy, right? And if you say, oh, there was conflict, then I'm going to ramp it up and ramp it up and ramp it up. That's endless war. That's obviously dumb. So you need to do balance. Hey, like what did I say earlier? You could rewind the tape. Yeah, we get to counterstrike when they go after our ships. And then I would leave it alone because I'm for.
Why? They're just going to do it again if you just give them a small counterstrike. And they're still, and you can't just counterstrike on them. If they're still creating unsafe passageways, increasing the amount of, resources something costs, then like you have to do more. You can't just let them oppress you. Then it's not a counterstrike. They've won, no? Like
balance, and then do a peace deal in Israel and get out before there are further hostilities. But if you guys say every time you try to get to peace, it's appeasement, you're going to have
that's not what he's saying, but okay.
endless war.
Okay.
And that's a fact. And that's what we have had. And has it made America safer? Has it made Israel safer? Absolutely not. All it has done is inflame the Muslim world. And how many times are we going to murder them before they go, hey, you know what? It turns out we're human beings and we don't like being murdered. So we're going to fight back. And every time they fight back, we go, oh, I can't believe it. No appeasement. War. Iraq.
If we wanted a war with these countries, we'd win instantly. I don't know why he's pretending like we, okay.
Iran, Yemen,
care.
more war.
I guess that'd lead to a world war. Whatever. I don't know. I don't think we want war. I just don't think so.
So right now, the Palestinians are being butchered on a daily basis. And when I conclude, and I've said it 1,000 times now, for God's sake, get to peace. A just peace. Destiny's right about that. It has to be just. And here's a partner that you could do it with a boss if you get the Arab
He doesn't really represent those people, so I don't think you can exactly utilize him. But okay, keep saying that.
countries, which they will, to support him and to put pressure on him to get to a peace deal. The opposing view is 150 more dead Palestinians today, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow,
okay.
and then maybe a couple of months from now, after thousands of more innocent civilians are dead, thousands and thousands,
Okay.
maybe Netanyahu will judge that he has eradicated Hamas, and out of the goodness of his heart stop killing Palestinians because he accomplished a military objective? Do you guys?
No, the point would be to get the people to elect somebody willing to actually compromise and come to a peaceful solution. So
Hear yourself? Do you get that is no one thinks
that's why I love America, because you can have absolute fucking morons like Cenk run defense for terrorist organizations that want Jews dead. and then we have something to talk about, baby. That's what it comes down to.
that's going to happen. And every day that more Palestinians die, my heart breaks.
Oh,
but I
that's
just
so
don't
sad.
see that in America from others. So I look right at this point, I basically turned my whole campaign into a fight for peace and justice. No more.
I'm sure that's going to go over real well with a lot of Americans worrying about Palestine. So I'm not trying to be an asshole. But like, yeah, a lot of people don't care as much because they don't live in Palestine, right? Like that's the same thing with Ukraine. A lot of conservatives don't give a shit about Ukraine because they don't live there, so they're not really worried about it too much. But
a war, no more occupation, no more money to Israel. As long as they continue to do that, they are not our ally. They have gotten us into.
no, we should give them money to be able to be where they are safely. I want to spread our influence of not killing gay and trans people. It's pretty important to me. Okay, I want them to act in the best way that they can, the most humanitarian way that they can, so that not just they are happy and peaceful, but so are the surrounding. So is like the people in Gaza and whatnot, but that unfortunately means right now the destruction of Hamas until a ruler is elected or an institution is elected that will actually engage in peace talks with us. So
to tons of conflicts on their behalf because they wanted more land. And this is the worst ally in the world. They never listen to us. And if they don't end the war and the occupation, we should send them absolutely no money. And look, I'm in this crazy long shot thing to at least send a message to Washington. Enough. If you say no, today is not.
I'm that message. Vote me in, even though I can't technically win.
Enough. It's appeasement. Let's keep killing Palestinians. Ellie asked the perfect question, and I got to be honest, Destiny, you had no answer other than keep going, which is how many Palestinians are you going to kill before you say it's enough? And you have no answer. So
until Hamas is dead. That's until they are no longer in power. That was the consistent answer from like minute one. That was the first thing he said. I feel like the first 2 minutes Destiny gave us his entire take.
Your answer is endless death for Palestinians, but I can't believe they're fighting back.
Yeah,
Destiny,
okay.
maybe just take a minute to respond and then we'll finish.
Sure. This is my frustrating when it comes to talking about international conflict, when it comes to talking about politics, and when it comes to talking about solving these things on the ground, okay? You've got some people that work incredibly hard in government, in NGOs, in political negotiations from other countries that really try to bring the conflict to the end. And then you've got pundits that make money off of hyperbolizing the actual conflict and not actually saying anything meaningful about it. It is so frustrating to hear over and again, 150 Palestinians, 150 Palestinians, 150. That doesn't get us anywhere closer to anything. Nobody asked the question, how many Japanese need to die before the war ends? How many German soldiers need to die before the war ends? How many Iraqi soldiers need to die before we stop the first Gulf War? How many people need to die in South Korea, in Vietnam? Like, that's not how anybody has ever thought about the conflict. You don't know how many people died in Yemen, do you? Probably don't know how many people died in the first Gulf War, do you? Probably don't know the total death count in any military conflict, but in this particular one, the only thing anybody seems to know is how many Palestinians died. It's the only thing that people know, which is ironic. Even earlier, you said that you don't care about Palestinian civilian deaths. The only thing you seem to care about is Palestinian civilian deaths. And the only thing that you want is the short-term minimization of those deaths, even if it comes to the long-term actual procurement of a real, lasting, peaceful justice, which is something you have absolutely no concern of talking about, which is why you're presenting the most ahistorical, unbelievable idea ever, that Abbas, who is universally one of the least popular Palestinians ever, you could get a guy called Finkel Goldstein, okay, to be the leader of the Palestinians, and he would pull higher than fucking Abbas. The fact that you want this guy to be the one to negotiate these peace deals with Israel, when we're probably lead to the third, fourth, and fifth intifada combined, is just an unrealistic solution. But in response to any of these actual roadblocks that somebody puts up before you for peace, the only thing you can say is murder, evil, immoral, 150, dead every day, evil, U.S. not good, don't support evil. But like even what you're saying here, don't support Israel anymore as the United States. What do you think Israel would do if they didn't have the support of the United States? We might be one of the only partners that are actually reining them in, which we have. It's why we've encouraged them to slow down on their strikes. It's why we've encouraged them to allow humanitarian
I'm pretty sure we delayed their invasion into Gaza as well, no?
aid in. We're probably one of the only people that Israel will actually listen to when it comes to curbing the violence that happens against Palestinians.
Memberships.
Hey, thank you so much for 5 memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I think that there needs to be an actual conversation sometimes about pundits, like actually talking about realistic peace plans and not just repeating these like talking points over and over again of like 150 dead, 150 dead. That doesn't get us anywhere. We've never thought about any conflict like that ever.
Well, I think that's a good end. Thank you both.
Wow, even with that rant, Destiny has talked 5% of this conversation.
Thank you, Cenk, and thank you, Destiny.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I know
Cenk just got fucking annihilated. He just got fucking evaporated on that. He doesn't want to respond. That's fucking. He's probably gonna start talking.
it got heated. I look,
Dude, you're a pussy.
but partisans on both sides.
Oh my god, dude, he just got fucking cock slapped by Destiny, and now he's like, "I'm sorry, things got heated. Dude, grow some fucking balls. This is called appeasement. You need to clap back. Call Destiny a slur or something. Show your strength. Show your strength. Show your strength.
You're going to hear what they wanted to hear. I think for the people in the middle, we made ourselves clear. And by the way, just so you know, and Destiny and I agree on this, he thinks I keep harping on it and it's ridiculous. And you guys decide whether it's ridiculous or not. But tomorrow, another 150 innocent Palestinians will be murdered.
Oh, well.
And the day after.
Well, you mean they're going to be used as human shields by Hamas, true.
And the day after. And so Destiny thinks they had to die. I don't think they had to die. So
why don't you go there? Why don't you go and see if you can get support from them, and maybe they'll vote you in.
You guys be the judge.
Brilliant. Thank you both for joining.
I think this is a perfect representation of how much of a fucking pussy Cenk is. He was crying the entire time. Destiny slapped him down pretty hard at the end there, and he shut up and he pretended to act cordial because his feelings were hurt, and he's a weak person. You should have went fucking gooner mode after that. Right? That's show your strength. Be wrong and show your strength. Be like, fuck you, Destiny. All right, you pussy. You love Palestinians dying. You're a fucking Nazi. You're a this. You're a cuck. You know, bring up his marriage. Go at him. You know, show your strength. Be like, I'm not gonna take your shit. It's not about being right at this point. Now it's just about showing people that you got some fucking balls. But you just sat there and you took it. And you're like, I'm sorry, I got some weed. I got some weed there at the end. That's really sad. What are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for chatting.
All right,
Right,
What are you doing?
Yep.
Are you able to send over the footage afterwards? I wasn't able to record it for some reason.
Does it actually give me the footage? I'm showing right now.
Are you live streaming right now?
Oh.
You just if you send over the live, then I'll just cut it up and use that if that works.
Yeah, I could, but it's gonna look a lot messier on my stream. It says on the it says on Riverside that it's still uploading. Are you sure you don't have access to it anywhere over there?
Yeah, so basically what happened was this was the tons of technical difficulties, which is why I started 5 minutes late. My laptop said it can't record for some reason. Cenk was trying to live stream, it didn't actually work in the end, and yeah, so it didn't let me to actually record anything.
So even though, what is
It says it's uploading, but it's not actually for some reason.
Oh, does this upload locally to your machine then? Is that how this works?
It usually should.
Oh no! I gotta delete. I'm gonna delete the message. I don't like. Why is everybody saying the N word in my chat today with the soft A? I know you guys are black, but I just generally can't allow that word because I don't know how many of you might be white using it, and I just don't want to deal with it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so usually what's so good about Riverside is it always captures in 4K, I think it is, even if if it goes bad, if the connection goes bad, but for some reason it just said it's not going to be recording today. Guess
Gotcha.
didn't like me.
Okay, yeah, I can
Who clickbaited fake Ethan Klein drama today?
shoot you the full recording. Yeah, I'll cut my butt now and then I'll do that, yeah.
I think this debate taught us a lesson that we really need to burn longer times for it, like 2 hours at least.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. All right.
Brilliant. So,
yeah, have fun. If you could email me and ask me just so that I have it in my email so that if at the end of the day I don't forget, okay?
Sure, yeah, send you something over now.
Cool. All right, thanks a lot. Have fun.
See you.
Bye.
All right, that seems like it's it.
We didn't even talk about the Houthis. I said 2 things wrong in that conversation. I think the total death toll actually for the October 7th thing was about 2 to 1 for civilian to military ratio. Because I looked and I checked this. I'm saying like 700 civilians to 300 soldiers, 350 soldiers, or it might have been 750 to 350 or whatever. And also it was the Geneva Protocol in 38, 28. Not the it wasn't the Geneva Conventions yet. 25. Sorry.
Okay, interesting. Cool video. Hello?
Oh.
What's going on? What's up?
Oh, my bad. Can you hear me clearly? My bad.
I can hear you, yeah.
All right. All right, brother. Also, before I got to glaze but I got to get on my glazing arc real quick. Brother, I discovered your content. A1, dude. I know I be yapping in the comments, dude. Oh, can you?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, but dude, sometimes I just feel like I got to say something or whatever. And I know you don't respond all the time, but, as a, A1 yapper, I got to, get my perspective out there sometimes. I know you don't agree all the time or whatever.
Okay.
But and so I'll say, so right now, my main disagreement is, bro, I agree with you. All right, let me turn off my TV.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can hear. I guess I can hear the stream in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, my bad, dude. I'm on my phone right now. Obviously, probably tell by the audio. But I would say the main question that was brought up was when is the stopping point and what is acceptable in response, basically. Because
okay.
my perspective is, I believe Israel should exist. Israel has a right to exist as a state, but I think that some people are in power there are taking advantage of obviously a tragedy, a devastating tragedy. There, 9/11, the same way we took advantage. Like we took advantage. We went there. We killed a disproportionate amount. Like it's a disproportionate response, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, from everything I know about the conflict between Israel and Palestine, I think that it's only really going to be enough when Hamas is eradicated. It seems like every 2 years they will do something to rise up tensions. Apparently, we got like 25% of them gone right now. They need to lose support for Hamas and vote somebody in that's willing to actually work on some kind of a compromise with Israel. That seems to be pretty much it. But right now, Palestinians seem to have pretty high support for Hamas. So I don't know, I don't know. Whenever that happens,
I would say my only response to that would be yes. At the beginning, when it first happened, I'm full on board. Like I'm the one like would be arguing with people about this perspective. But I just think that when you have goals that are so ambiguous and can't really be quantified, it gives people fair reign to expand their reach and do things that may not have been even in the scope of that response.
sure. But if we
I think
let up now, what's stopping this from happening again? And you can quantify some of it. We already have like what is it? 25% of the people, 25% of Hamas has already been eradicated. So you can quantify it to some extent. There are statistics on it. I understand what you're saying. I mean, this is according to the I guess the best reports that we have. Are you saying that you don't think that 25% of Hamas has been destroyed?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I believe that number was given by the IDF. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm just saying that in any conflict, the person that is an aggressor would obviously, downplay situations that would make them look bad. Correct? Or
yeah,
so I'm not trying.
possible.
I'm really not trying to go to the fear.
I mean, I would say that the
trying
IDF is probably more reputable than Hamas when it comes to reporting different things. They're held to a higher standard, but sure.
Yeah, I disqualify Hamas immediately.
Well, the quantifiable point would be when Palestine's willing to actually deal with this like a two-state solution.
But where are we getting those numbers from as well?
Well, no, it wouldn't be a number. It would be like they would elect somebody that would be willing to implement, like actually come to the table on negotiations that represent the people.
But that's another point that I would have is that, like, the point that was brought up as well was like, is approaching this situation the way they're approaching it, is that not just ensuring that people will never even consider, because maybe there might have been people that would have considered, or might have been people that could have been flipped, but just like in America, whatever, like when people switch their vote, it's like, okay, I would vote for these idealistic positions, but my reality is that like, my shit's fucked up. And so their shit's fucked up. Like they bombed my shit, like my fucking whatever died.
Every time they seem to loosen restrictions, there's like another attack. It seems like Hamas is constantly attacking Israel. So why would they want to reduce the amount of policing that they're doing to the Gaza Strip if they're constantly getting attacked by them? Like how do they do that? They just let their people die, or
no, never, no, not that. I would say that we give them all this money and we give them all this stuff. They should just bolster their defenses. And they even said on the day of the attack, or not the day of the attack, or like afterwards in retrospect, that the people that were there were not trained. They were getting lackadaisical in their approaches of like security and things like that. Okay. So, I mean, like the same things that we should apply to every country. Like, you have the right to defend your border and whatnot. I think they, especially there when everybody's surrounding them, I agree with you. Like, yes. And I did say the river to the sea thing. That was a contrarian point that I was trying to bring up just to be in semantics or whatever. I know that's probably one of the I know that probably pissed you off a lot, but I was just saying it semantically, just to ponder the idea.
Well, my understanding is Hamas is constantly launching rocket attacks against Israel. So, like, what's the point of defense? And, like, what does defense mean? I mean, we use spies to an Iron Dome. It just seems there's a lot. We're putting a lot on Israel to supposedly defend itself, but really nothing on Hamas to not attack Israel.
Because they're in the middle of a region that wants to kill them. I believe they should be defended.
Who's in the middle of a region? What do you mean by that? I don't understand what that means.
Israel is surrounded by states that don't want them to exist.
Maybe. I mean, Egypt wants them to exist. They do very well financially with them. I don't think it's necessarily that. Like there is not a desire for Western influence there, but there is the desire for like money and working together for like financial means. But like, yeah, we should help Israel defend itself. But like, why isn't there any expectation for Palestine and Hamas to not attack them?
I think I have respect on it is because they feel like, because also, the whatever comparison they said, the big guy, the little guy, whatever,
Okay.
that is also the first. Let's say that's the first layer. The second
Well,
layer.
But who cares about that? Like, if you're,
what would they defend with?
Okay, hold on. Let me. So, what were your two arguments?
The first one was, obviously the overwhelming power against the, smaller force.
Right,
obviously, that's the point of every. Yeah, that's the point of every war. That's the advantageous position. That's good, I believe. We should. That's our position. That's why we have bases all over the world. But I would say that the next step of that is that they're actually experiencing attacks. The civilian population. The more that they're getting affected, the more that, because it's like a negative feedback loop, basically. So you're attacking them, and then more people are now joining Hamas. So then you're saying I'm eliminating this amount of Hamas while creating more Hamas.
Right. Okay. So the two arguments you have is the big guy, little guy argument, and then the civilian population becoming more radicalized.
Yes.
So here's what I would say to that. First of all, the big guy, little guy thing. I'm a big guy, and there's a lot of little guys that feel very empowered to attack me because, in general, like in school, because they were small and they felt like they could do whatever they wanted. So if you're a little guy and you're dumb enough, what?
Napoleon complex.
Yeah, if you're dumb enough to attack the big guy, then it sucks to suck. I don't care about that. When it comes to the radicalization thing, that makes sense. The problem is that I would assume, I don't think anybody has a reason not to assume, that especially with the United States working with Israel, the peace deal for Palestine would probably be decent. I would think. I would hope. At least they would hopefully be decent if they were actually coming to the table and negotiating. I imagine their quality of life would drastically increase if there was a big negotiation between Israel, Palestine, the United States, any other allies of Palestine. Like I said multiple times, like give them reparations. Have Israel give reparations to Palestine after they institute their government. So it's almost like it's just self-defeating.
But I would say, okay, that's also, I understand that perspective as well.
Yeah.
But I would say to that is that I think it's self-defeating in the opposite direction.
For who?
Because I think that for Israel, but it's not self-defeating because okay, I remember
they're winning.
Yeah, of course they were. Yeah, dude, I tell this.
They're winning, and every single time Hamas attacks them, they get justification to take over more land for Palestinians. So I don't think it's self-defeating for them.
Saying.
I know, but who's giving them the justification? Every time Hamas attacks them and they say, okay, we're going to have to occupy more land, and they take more land.
They give them the justification by going to those, because everybody.
But they're getting attacked first.
All the strikes. But that's not necessarily. But okay, yeah. But that goes back to whatever the history and whatnot.
Sure.
But I'm trying to focus it right now, like on the modern day, and what solutions could be found. But I think that some people that have been radicalized by the past in those past situations, the right wingers that are in government right now, they don't see it that way. The same way that we had radical right wingers when we went to Iraq or whatever, like saying like. We had all these talk. I don't know if you remember. You do remember. You were around back then in those days. Talking about glass. Glass the whole area. Just whatever. Yeah. And it's those type of sentiments that I feel like are negative to the conversation. And then like it doesn't even reflect the people in Israel that are like, okay, we just want to be defended. We don't necessarily want to, attack.
What do you think is the solution then?
I think. Israel, I believe they deserved a certain amount of damage to do. They did inflict that damage. I think now they bolster their defenses. They increase their influence around following regions around them. And the same way, because in the Middle East, it's not the same of like overwhelming force is going to get you the win. We learned that in, Afghanistan or whatever. Like we obviously were the overwhelming force. But how did that end? It ended up extending because when people are backed by religion, when are they going to end? There's no to them. There's no end to it.
So the solution is Israel continuously bolsters their defenses and just deals with all the attacks from Palestine, is what you're saying, or Hamas.
Yeah, until it will dissipate if they get their economic conditions.
I feel
you don't agree.
I feel like
But-
the solution being, hey, we're just gonna bolster our defenses and let you constantly barrage us without retaliation, and hopefully you don't kill any of our people. It doesn't really seem like a particularly
But
sound
if
plan.
they can get their defenses to a point where their impact from any assault would be negligible. It
What
has
does
been
that mean?
way
You mean
for a
like
long
nobody
time.
will die, or only a couple people will die?
Not nobody will die. Maybe one person will die every 10 years or whatever. That's not good as
I mean,
well. But
I
also
don't know the
happens in every
statistics,
country.
but I mean, I imagine that it was more than one person per year. Why should Israel put up with any death of their country though, against people who have no value of life for their other people?
Yes, you see, but I'm saying I feel that's probably the dividing point is like, because what is the answer then? The answer is
Well,
to kill all of them. That's basically what the only option that's left.
No, just kill. Okay, so I mean, listen, I don't know if you watched the whole video, but there was a point
Yeah, I did.
where, yeah. So I think that we can listen. We fucking eradicate Hamas and we demoralize their people to the point where they will take a peace solution, and then we give them a good peace solution that lets them have a high quality of life.
But how is that possible right now?
You just
Because
keep
they're
killing. You
getting
just
funded from
continue.
other-
You just continuously
other places.
decimate Hamas. You eradicate them.
But then they keep replenishing. What will be the end?
You
How
continue.
would people live and how would they vote if that keeps happening?
What if you kill Hamas? How will people vote? They would just not vote for Hamas.
No, I'm saying, but you're saying also back to your point that they do use people as human shields. So then more people would be dying. The
Yeah,
population would be dying.
it's
constantly. So then how
unfortunate,
would
but
they ever vote?
it's unfortunate. But this whatever's happening now is just not working. Like there's constantly a conflict between
no, I
Hamas.
agree.
Well, hold on, there's a constant conflict between Hamas and Israel like every couple of years. So it's not working. Whatever's happening now. So eradicate Hamas until Palestinian people are willing to elect somebody who will come to the table with an actual agreement for a two-state solution that'll be beneficial to them as well. And there you go.
But don't you think that the like over retaliation would just, like I said, create an infinite loop of Hamas? They would just be infinite replenishment. So even if they get to a certain
I don't think
percentage-
so. I think that the reality is that I mean, if these people continuously get attacked for supporting Hamas, they would stop supporting Hamas. Like, I mean, it's an unfortunate reality, but I think that will happen. I don't think people are really happy to die or be in economic starvation mode. So if they're told, if you elect somebody better, we'll give you a good deal, and we'll start like trading with you, and you'll make money, and you'll be a more prosperous place, I think that they'll be willing to take that. Sure.
But how would you know that? Because isn't that happening right now when they have already done that?
As what already happened now? We wouldn't know that. I mean, then maybe we'll just continuously have to defend ourselves from them consistently and continue to root out terrorist organizations. Yeah, listen, here's the thing. Okay, we're at a point now where Hamas is like a legitimate terrorist organization that wants all the Jews dead, and Palestinians support that heavily. That's intolerable. Israel is more willing to come to the table. A lot of it is because of America will pressure them into coming to the table with a peace solution. That's the side
I disagree with that.
Okay, I
disagree.
I don't know how. We've had some pretty big impact on Israel, like keeping their shit together. We delayed them from the ongoing invasion like months, or at least a month. So like we have influence. We have influence on them. They have a higher value of life than for the people in Palestine than Hamas does.
True?
Why do you think that they're not completely decimating the areas and dropping pamphlets and dropping information where they're going to bomb and telling people to evacuate?
But why do you think they still attack regardless?
That's not the question. Why are they warning people of the attacks? Why are they warning Palestinians?
But those warnings are like they give them like 5 minutes. It's not.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They give them more than 5 minutes. They give them I think days before they attack.
I don't think that's true. I think I've seen other things that oppose it, but I don't know.
They don't give 5 minutes. We're at a point now where they give days. They give days before they attack certain targets, and Hamas won't let them leave. Like, this isn't 5 minutes. They're giving them. So why would they do that if they have no value of life of the people in Gaza?
But where would they go?
They would just leave. They would leave that building, and they would just not be around it when it gets attacked.
Yeah, but then, like I said,
okay, but
it
doesn't matter. They're getting yes, because Hamas won't let them leave. Hamas is hiding.
So then what are they supposed to do?
They should elect leadership that doesn't want them to die.
But then every day their family's getting killed.
Then elect better leader. Then they need to elect leadership that won't let them die, that doesn't want them to die, so that they can engage in propaganda machines. That's
But
it.
if your country's under occupation or whatever, or not occupation, or like
They need
attack,
to.
then you don't have.
It doesn't matter. They need to
Yeah.
elect a government that actually values their life.
Okay, but then that also goes back to the point of like what I'm not trying to. Also, let me just clarify before I go into this next tangent. That not tangent, but follow up to the point. I'm not a Hassan fan. I know. I don't know. I don't want that to be even. I hate Hassan. I used to be a D. I used to like Destiny a lot. I still like him, but
all right, yeah, no, I
whatever.
understand. So, what did you want to say?
I was going to talk about Cenk's point about getting somebody in there for our side that would
that wasn't his point.
Make that negotiation, or okay, now maybe not his point, but that perspective of putting somebody in there as a leader, and then
that's a terrible idea.
Why?
Because what you just said is so let's say Israel needs to put somebody in power over Palestine and then negotiate with the person they put in power. How would any of the people in Gaza respect that?
So what?
What do you mean? So what? They wouldn't take whatever deal that this person got them.
They're not taking it now. They're not taking it now.
Okay. They're not going to take it then either. It's a non-solution. It doesn't make any sense. Hey, no, it's not. It's a garbage dog shit solution. You're telling Palestinian people because they are not going to feel represented by the person that's supposed to represent them. That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? So what? Then all you're doing is exchange. What? How does that work? So you have a group of people. Hold on.
Yes. I can go.
Okay, how many people? I'm trying to see how many people there are in Gaza. What is it, like 2 million people? I don't know if I'm like right about that. Okay, so you're telling, let's say, like 2 million people. Here, we're gonna. This is your leader. 0% of them want that as a leader. He's gonna negotiate terms, and now you have to follow them. He has no military support. He has no support from the people. He has no support from like whatever police infrastructure might be there. What do you mean? How does that work?
But then look.
What
Israel?
No, it doesn't. They're not going to take the deal.
No, but I'm saying
Palestine won't do it
for them.
What?
Make it an internal problem for them. It's going to be internally within their.
That's
own
not
government.
an internal problem. So you put the guy walks through. So the guy walks into Gaza, and then he just sits down in the office, and everybody's like, "Yeah, sure, this is our guy now," or do they just immediately kill him? I don't understand.
No, we obviously have the influence, power, whatever. United States, Israel. We could have people that set up to back.
Wait, who cares? Wait, what does that mean? What does influence mean?
Backing.
And how do you back him? So you're saying that Israel should march their military into Gaza with Israel's elected leader of Palestine and say, "This is your guy now. Deal with it." That doesn't make any sense.
Can I tell you? Can I break it down a little bit more?
Yeah, I would. Yes.
The same method that every colonial power has ever used.
This is not the same method that people have used.
No, but I'm just saying, divide and conquer. So there will be people there that don't support Hamas, right? In that wherever it is,
right? Okay, so to be clear, if your solution was send infrastructure to the people in Gaza that don't support Hamas, money, weapons, etc., and have them elect a leader, which then sure, maybe that'll work.
Have to be even. You could say it's elected, but we pick somebody there.
That's just not going to work.
The same way we do. Why?
You're saying Israel, the people that Hamas and Palestine hates, should elect a leader for Palestinian people and then make them like that guy?
No, not elect. I'm saying in every other military conflict or in any other international conflict, when we propped up leaders in those states.
That's different. Propping up a leader is different from choosing somebody. There has to be support from the Palestinian people to whoever the leader is going to be for that leader to have any power in that country, or else they're going to be overthrown instantaneously. So your idea of like, hey, maybe we can find somebody in Gaza that's somewhat popular and give him infrastructure, money, weapons, guns, whatever, for him to be able to, sure, that might work. That's different from what Cenk was saying. Cenk was saying that there's already a guy like in the West Bank that all Palestinians hate. We should just negotiate with him to represent Palestine. That's never going to work.
I guess it was conceptually that I agree with him, but I'm saying, but the way you said it is literally my perspective, I'd say.
So you wanna find somebody, I don't know who, because I don't know, somebody else inside of Gaza that is somewhat popular that will actually work and vie for peace with Israel, and you want Israel to support
And they
that
don't
person.
have to be, yeah, they don't have to be the most supported. They just have to have some type of backing, and then we give them.
It might work, but it also might just cause Palestinians to go, look, they're working with the Israelis. We don't like this guy.
Yeah, but you don't make it like apparent. Obviously, you don't just say like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna start sucking off." Really?
Isn't this how we destabilize like every Middle Eastern country that we occupy? Right? Like, we support some kind of like
but then they fight. But then look. I would say that would be in terms of Israel's. Let them have their own conflict there. Like set it up so they're not looking outwards.
I don't think that's going to cause zero violence against Israel.
Not zero, but
I don't think it'll reduce any. So I liked one of the ideas that like Destiny brought up, where it was something along the lines of like some kind of neighboring Arab country that is friendly with Palestine, going in there, instituting themselves as like a police state, and then helping Palestinians elect somebody who's not going to constantly kill Israel is probably the best solution that could be possibly work out. Maybe. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not an expert on foreign affairs, but that makes some sense to me. That could work. Outside of that,
I can see already dangers from that. That plan could already have like disastrous implications.
Any plan could have disastrous implications. I mean, there's no perfect solution here.
But the implications would be worse, I'd say.
Why?
Because if you're bringing in other Arab countries that still have underlying issues with Israel into a position,
I just said other countries that are willing to work with Israel in the United States that are still allies of Palestinians.
Saying you're bringing Middle Eastern countries, so they're Muslim majority countries, and that they're gonna. So even if the government itself,
so they would share more values with the Palestinian people, and they're more willing to work with them.
Yeah, but they're also more willing to attack Israel.
Okay, so then we just continuously bomb Hamas until they're dead, and then demoralize the Palestinians until they're willing to take a peace deal that's going to benefit them and that actually benefit them. That's what you got to do. That's it. Destroy Hamas. They're violent terrorists. Destroy Hamas. They're violent terrorists who have no interest in ending a war. They want all the Jews dead. And then
I'm not an opponent to you.
That's what it is. And then like once they're finally willing to take a better government, we have helped them out tremendously.
When has that ever happened?
What?
When has that ever happened?
I mean, World War II, Japan,
No.
Japan, Germany. What do you mean?
That's not but also the same way you said earlier when I brought up
we destroyed Germany and Japan. Hold on. We destroyed. It doesn't matter. We destroyed Germany and Japan so badly. But we actually had influence, and actually were able to like maintain an influence over Germany and Japan to the point where like they're two of the most robust countries in the entire world. So yeah, we were not able to maintain influence in Vietnam. We got fucking decimated. We lost that war. It's not even comparative. This is not even close.
No, it is comparative.
No, it's not. We lost. We didn't win. So it's not comparative.
Let me tell you. Can I tell you why it's comparative?
Sure.
Because the amount of force that we applied and the amount of people that we killed and the amount of people that we lost.
That doesn't matter. We lost. We won.
Because they kept fighting.
We won World War II.
And because of news coverage. That's the same thing that I was bringing up before. The transparency of information changes the perspective of people globally. So if like everybody's seeing every day that a fucking building is collapsing, well, like, okay, the emotion, you can say whatever. I also don't apply that to my logic, but in the government sense, you have to, because if you're portraying these images all the time, will they not affect the population's perspective on the war?
I guess. I don't think that matters. We just need to win the war. Just, what are you talking about now that there's another metric we have to deal with, or another thing we have to deal with, which is the media coverage and attention? We had that back then too. We had media coverage and attention.
Yeah, we stopped because of media coverage. We stopped Vietnam, not because we stopped. Listen, I'm not a Vietnam expert. Yeah, we did lose support. We stopped because we got fucking rolled. No.
Yeah, we couldn't win in their territory. We can this is a listen. Fundamentally speaking, okay. Fundamentally speaking, all we can do you can't work with Hamas. They want all the Jews dead.
You can't eradicate them either.
What?
It's like Taliban is still around, Al Qaeda is still around. You can't eradicate them.
I'm pretty sure that those are significantly weakened. Didn't we like?
Yeah, but they don't. But you're saying the word eradicate.
Okay.
Then you can't.
Now you're just playing a semantic argument to where you're just trying to like you're desperate for a win. Okay, you drastically you stomp Hamas into the ground until they don't have the influence to maintain control over the country, and then somebody else gets elected from the Palestinians that will be able to negotiate a trade agreement or an agreement, a peace agreement or a compromising deal that where they benefit in the long run.
All right.
That's what we got to do.
I guess.
Or we have a neighboring Arab country that's friendly with Palestine that is willing to work with America and Israel, help institute a government there as well. But these are nothing's perfect. There's no perfect solution here. Like there's no magical perfect solution.
I know that.
Yeah,
but we can minimize. Min-maxing. Why not min-max?
I think it would be, if you want to minimize death, it's better to kill Hamas now and then push for an actual long-term peaceful agreement than it is to just have Israel build a giant iron dome and continuously get attacked by missiles until eventually they.
I think in terms of numbers, I don't think that's true.
In terms of what numbers?
Like in terms of amount of people dying, I think that's not true.
What's not true? I don't understand.
The amount of people that would die in that solution versus the other solution, it's not the same.
Your solution is your solution is have Israel build a dome and just continuously be attacked forever. I don't think that's a solution. They won't. That shows a profound weakness, and saying that Israel will take that shows a profound weakness, and it will communicate. That is just Israel communicating that you can attack them and they will not retaliate. That is not going to long term.
You will never take us over.
That is not going to long term help Israel at all. It's not. They're going to, and eventually they're going to get toppled by some collection of forces in the area, and they're going to lose. There's no reason to do that.
Why? Why would that be? Why would that change? Why would the result of that attack change from them bolstering their defenses?
What are you talking about? What? Why would
that? Defenses, that attack wouldn't.
You just said before that there are other Arab countries that have a vested interest in disliking Israel and want to go after them. And now you're asking me how Israel not responding by pushing back and just constantly taking attacks, how that would somehow not bolster those other countries to also attack Israel.
Yes, I am, because I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that they're bolstering their defenses at the same time, right? So that's different.
What is that? You're not understanding. If they continue, if they don't retaliate, if they just continue, if they just continuously bolster their defenses and they don't retaliate, they're communicating to all their enemies that they are free range to constantly attack without retaliation, which is eventually they're communicating. They're communicating that you can constantly punch them and they won't do anything about it.
That's not what.
Yeah, just a fact. It is what. What are you talking about? If you let somebody constantly hit you over and over again because you don't think that they can hurt you,
that doesn't hurt you.
You're assuming that in the future it wouldn't hurt them. Like, you're assuming that they would never be able to get through Israel's defenses. Like, you have this magical. I don't like. What are they building? Like a magical dome made out of pixie dust? Like if they don't retaliate to attacks from Hamas. If they don't, other surrounding countries will feel bolstered to also attack them, whether it is directly or whether it is through giving money to Hamas to continuously attack.
But then, so we attack them, so we make more Hamas, so we can.
We attack them and we kill all of Hamas, and we demoralize the people in Palestine until they elect a better leader and get a good compromise deal, so that they will finally, in the long run, be a better country. Then they keep dying. I don't know what to tell you. Your solutions, your solutions don't work. You live in like a fantasy world where you think you can magically stop people from dying. They're like, if a third grader could understand why like letting somebody constantly hit you doesn't make them stop hitting you. Like, if
you're a grown man and a 3-year-old is hitting you,
Hamas is murdering people. They're not just getting hit. People are dying. Why would all that's going to do is radicalize Israel more? If you're letting people constantly bombard you, Israel's going to radicalize, and they're going to vote in an even further right-wing authoritarian person to be like, we need this to stop. We don't want to keep getting attacked.
They are right now.
No, they're not. They're not even close to as like right-wing as Hamas is. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Listen. How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because
They do,
because
they are.
because Israel is the most progressive country in the entire Middle East. That's how I know that. So
But but who's running the country? That doesn't matter if the population has a perspective, but if the government has the power to control the military,
Israel is the most progressive. The government literally decides if you're progressive or not, but like based on your values. They like gay, like you're allowed to be gay and trans there without getting killed. And
but the government is not.
That has everything to do with the government. The government would be able to take that away. What are you talking about? They're more progressive.
No.
They're a factual, more progressive. I might listen. I don't know too much about Netanyahu. Are there issues with like right wing extremists in Israel? Absolutely. It's not as bad as Palestine.
All right.
This is not. There's no metric you could even point to that would suggest otherwise.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Then it's up to perspective. But I'm just saying it goes back to who has the ability to take action.
Yeah, but, I think Israel does.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm not trying to come on here and be like, oh, whatever. You're
okay.
I do have. There's overlap, but it's just not full overlap.
Okay. You have another question? Is that what you're gonna say?
Oh yeah. Can I ask this question?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I was just confirming. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
When are we gonna watch a Dantavia's video?
Oh my god. Is there overlap because he sounds Jewish? Is that what you mean?
No. I said there's no overlap.
Oh, I thought you said that there's some overlap. I don't know. Eventually, when we run out of content, I guess. Maybe.
And is that annoying? Should I stop?
No, it's fine. I enjoy the memes. Oh shit. I enjoy the memes. Don't worry. Okay.
Really.
All right. Well, I appreciate chatting with you. Okay. You take care.
All right, brother. You too.
You too. Peace.
Bye.
Okay. That was an interesting conversation.